Hello chat, how are you all doing? It is a Monday. Hello, hello. How are we all? Do the stretch. Hello. We are playing Roottrees Are Dead again today. Continuing where we left off. Last we left off we were doing Root Tree Mania. We had just started that, having a grand old time with that. Mercury Lev, I see, got first. Good job, Mercury Lev, even though...
Gender fluid.
Even though I think you might be in ad hell right now, but yes, gender fluid, hell yeah, hell yeah. I was watching a video earlier today and they said the word gender fluid, and I was like, why didn't they hit the button? But no. I was like, that's not a thing that they have. That's me that has that button.
Gender fluid.
I'm the only person I know that has that button. Just because I'm watching somebody else who makes use of a soundboard. Anyway. My mind is crazy right now. I was doing a million tasks, and by a million, I mean like 2. But you know. Sometimes your brain is just like, holy shit, that's so many. 2 is a lot. One of them was laundry, you know? I was making my fucking bed. Right, like directly before stream. And now it's all good. It's all nice. The most tiresome part of it is putting all of my plushies back. It's the problem with it. Is I have so many on my bed. I should have counted how many there are when I was doing that. Too late now. I'll never know. I'll never know how many are on there. But yes, let's see here. Today's the 9th. Yes. Getting my birthday list ready. I believe the pre-stream ads are still going on, so I won't go for that fully just yet. But it is, in fact, something that I have there. Alright. What have I been doing lately? Let's see. Is there anything I can update y'all on? I feel like I hit the go live button and I forgot everything that I've done. I feel like I did at least something, didn't I? What did I do? What have I done? Where did my mind go? It's gone forever, I suppose. Yeah, that was it. I was playing D&D yesterday. We started a new campaign. So I got to play my new character for the first time, and I'm having fun with her. Waffle! Hi, Waffle! My new character is a Tabaxi ranger named Bella Pepperbuckle. She was adopted by halflings, so that's why her last name is Pepperbuckle. Hello. Yeah, me and 2 of the other players are playing siblings. With one of them being Cheaty Pepperbuckle, who is another ranger, and he's a tiefling ranger, and then the other one is Ami, short for Omelette, who is an Aarakocra and a druid. Other members of the party, there's James, who is a I believe half dragon, not dragonborn, rogue. We got Amara, the Azamar, that's what they're called. And she's a monk, and there's Alex is the character's name. Alex, who's a paladin. I think he was a human. Look, we've only played one with these characters. I'm like, okay, I know who mine is. And because we combined our backstories together, I know who my in-game siblings are, you know? I'm trying to remember their names and things. I believe that he was a human. Yes. Hell yeah. I've been wanting to play a ranger for a long time, since I first watched A Crown of Candy, and I think that was back maybe around 2020 or 2021, because Liam in Crown of Candy. Hell yeah. I saw the fucking, I don't want to spoil it in case anybody's not seen it, but let's see here. What's the name of, what episode number is it? I'll just say there's an episode that I watched of Crown of Candy and I was like, holy shit, I want to play a ranger next. Da-da-da-da-da. Liam's not even my favorite character. Hey, Artificer! Hello! Welcome, welcome. Welcome on in. Thank you for- holy shit, 31 is crazy. 31 is wild. That's crazy. That's too many. Oh, wow. 1 second, I'm looking at fucking... Is it this one? Yes, episode 8 of Crown of Candy is what made me decide to be a ranger. Holy shit, 31. Wow. Wow. Committed, yeah, I could tell. It'd be weird if you weren't at that point. If it was just some weird obligation. But hell yeah. I think we can go ahead and read off the big old birthday list for today here. Let's see here. We can go ahead, we'll read yesterday and we'll read today. Starting off with yesterday, on March 8th. This was Sunday, yesterday. The birthdays, we have a fictional character, a media release, and a little bonus thing. Oh, I need to put a bonus thing for today. I don't have that written down. Alright. Yesterday was Pete from Animal Crossing's birthday, as well as the media release anniversary of Kung Fu Panda 4. I believe this is the only Kung Fu Panda movie I haven't seen. I've seen 1 quite a few times. I've seen 2 also quite a few times. I think I saw 3 once, and I never saw 4. It's like they peaked with Kung Fu Panda 2. I don't know how they could continue on from that point. They like knocked it out of the park with Kung Fu Panda 2, you know? And then the bonus for yesterday is that is the day that Disco Elysium's plot starts. That is the day that you wake up. You wake up in his stupid ass apartment. Oh boy. Today though, the 9th, March 9th, we have a couple of things here. We have 3 character birthdays, a media release, a celebrity, and a bonus. And by celebrity, I do in fact mean streamer. But, I guess mostly YouTuber, and then also a streamer. I think first and foremost a YouTuber. But anyway, for fictional character, we have Hiyoko Sayonji from Danganronpa, Midnight from My Hero Academia, and Hanadera Nodoka, aka Cure Grace, from Healin' Good Pretty Cure. And then, for media release, the song Vampire by Deco27 featuring Hatsune Miku. The silly celebrity, aka this is a YouTuber, is Impulse SV, and the bonus is that today is Miku Day, baby. Keep Midnight away from those other 2. Let me double check. Is Midnight who I think she... Let me see. I immediately pronouned. I was like, now I have to double check as well while I'm pronouncing. Yes, that is who I thought they were. I feel like Hiyoko can hold her own. I feel like Hiyoko Sayonji from Danganronpa can hold her own. I don't know about Cure Grace. I haven't seen that season yet. I feel like Hiyoko is going to be a good challenger. But alright. But today is Miku Day, that's fun, because Miku is spelled the same way or as 3-9, which is Sankyu, which sounds like thank you. So we're saying thank you to Miku today. It's her day. And that's pretty cool. It's fun how, a bit of a spoiler for tomorrow, It's fun how Miku Day comes right before Mario Day, you know? That's fun. Right in a row. Two of Japan's biggest icons, one could say. Big month for them. But alright, Sans, I have appreciated your beautiful music, your, epic tunes. You know, it's great. And you can, I think, one second, I need to pull up the video game. I'm on the wrong fucking page. I'm on the wrong page here. There we are, now I'm on the right page. Okay, Sans, thank you for your delightful music. I very much liked it, and you may now, take your leave. You can officially clock out. You know, whenever I think about clocking out, in terms of jobs, I always go back to that one, I think it was a Looney Tunes, but they weren't, like, characters that, like, appear in other stuff from my knowledge. It was, like, a wolf and a dog, like a sheepdog or some shit like that, who, like, looking, but they, like, tried to, get the sheep, but the dog is stopping them, but then they would just, like, clock out after work and they would just be chill with each other. I think about that a lot. That was a good one. I haven't watched that in a long time, but I remember really liking that one. Sam and Ralph. Fucking Artificer knows their government names over here. Let me quickly look up Sam and Ralph then. You fucking... Yeah, because I was like, I don't think, in my mind I was like, it wasn't Wile E. Coyote, but he looked like Wile E. Coyote. Yeah, this is a Wile E. Coyote recolor. That's really, I thought that maybe I was misremembering it, but that is the exact same design, but with different colors. That is really funny. You used a gif of them the other day, But alright. We're getting back into Roottrees Mania. I've got to remember everything. We're looking for the affairs, we're looking for the children of affairs. We've learned that Guy gets around. We've learned that Guy really gets around. We know about Joanna here, who is, David's mom. David, who goes by Felix, aka 5Ps. I'm really confident in these guys over here. I remember being confident in that. We can pull up our notes. But we have all of these infidelity notes, but we don't have, like, more specifics. We have a lot of, like, miscellaneous because we don't know which exact ones they're going to go to. And affairs as well here. A lot of the information that we have is specifically about Guy, and I feel like locking in his stuff is probably going to be what's happening here. But let's go ahead and let's catch up on our notes. Let's double check everything here. Because we have here 3.1. Dirte Davy as well. I've been keeping track of dates this time. I don't know. I'm not confident I don't know if they'll be necessary. We'll find out. But he was born February 9th, from 1977. His mother was a secretary in the 70s, and she overdosed when 5Ps was 16. It should be when, not with. And her name is Joanna. We know that she got with Guy Hudson. Let's see here. He claimed on a song called 17 Magazine that he turned 17 in 1992. But, that would be not true, right? 72, or 77, 92. Anybody want to do the math on that? Because I don't. If he was born in 1977, how old would he be in 1992? Somebody do that for me, please, and if nobody does it, I'll do it after I'm done looking through literally any other note. Riley and Joanna Fellows. Who was Riley? Yes, right. Right. Okay, do we have that down? Yes, we do. Okay, I didn't see that we had that down. I was certain that we did not have his, not real, his, adopted? Well, not really. I don't know what to call that. Alleged? Original father? Named after her grandmother. And it's fitting given that she was born the night before Christmas, so for sure Carol. You know? 15? Did you say 1992 and 1977? Yes. He was born in 77. He claimed that he turned 17 in 1992, but I remember that there was, like, allegedness that was weird. Yeah, a letter to the editor also claims that it's not possible that he was born in 77. Yeah. Like, yeah. Can I look up letter to the editor here? Whoops, it helps if you spell editor correctly. Okay, no. So he could have been... could be 1975 then, would that be? Could be that they got the info wrong. Okay. Tree update, yes. Let's double check throughout here. Yeah, there was protests. Gwen has passed away. Lauren is in a memory care facility. Miracle is currently the oldest living root tree. Clark is in charge. Clark and Ron were in charge, but then Ron was not allowed. Because Ron was sort of trying to get in there. Ruby is their lawyer. From Chris here, who, assumedly the 75 means that he was also born in 75. When he was a kid. Photo from when he was 5 and in the office with his dad, and Guy was there. Made himself sick by eating chocolate, and some woman who he didn't know cleaned his face. Okay, I know that we have a lot of evidence over here. We have a lot of I guess we don't have that much evidence, but you know. Alright. There we go. Okay, that's the image then. Because I know that we've looked at... this is the one that we've looked at. Alright, let's go for it. The photo was on Chris Rafferty's website. According to Chris, it's a photo of him, his father, and Guy Hudson. While they were distracted, he snuck into the supply of chocolate they kept for visitors and tours. Clark Rafferty did not know who the woman in the photo was. So this is going to be one of his, secretaries, assumedly. I want to quickly... Yeah, those don't really look similar to me. these women? I'm not sure, though. I mean, yeah, you don't have, like, a second thing here. That could be... I'll just go ahead and pencil that person in, maybe? That's the vibe I'm getting. I am also wondering about, Flavio here. I want my notes for Flavio real quick. Let's see here. Okay, let's just look up Flavio again. Or maybe in my history, Flavio. Flavio Suarez. Who is dating Ashley York. There's the person by another name here. Let me just write down quickly Flavio Suarez. Oh, sorry, Soares. Dating Ashley York. Because this one over here about... Yeah, here's this guy. His mother's name is Sonia. Oops. It says I have that note right here, actually. Da-da-da. Edson Suarez, Brazilian politician. Da-da. Former mayor, put in charge. Not popular. And that was his... Sonia was his wife, right? You said? So then you would assume... If we look up Telerede... No. Because Sonia Suarez has a mother named Sonia for Flavio here. Because what I'm curious about here is whether... I'm assuming, then, that... I was trying to figure out whether Flavio could potentially be one of Guy Hudson's kids, or if he would have been one of the guys getting cucked by Guy Hudson. Because if he is the latter, then this is the only option, because this is the only one with an image for for one of the spouses there. But, I am not sure about that. I'm also gonna get rid of that image. But yeah, I think I can go to, I can put in this image here of Clark and of Chris. And I don't take it that, yeah, I can't add those images of Guy. They would have to be here, I believe. Just odd, I'm like, one of these has to be wrong. You know? because we have this, which I'm pretty confident in. I'm confident on everything over here. Wait a fucking minute. Why did I put her name like that? Her last name is Landon. I was like, wait a fucking minute. God, I'm a fool. That's why nothing I've gone through. I was so... Well, you know what? I'm glad that I did that, because then I could lock those two in, you know? I could do those now. Oh, hello? Who's there? Hey!
Has Clark reached out to you? Well, let me give you a short history lesson about the last few months of my life.
I'm sure it's great.
3 different people contacted me, claiming that somewhere in their history, they might be Roottrees. First, that young man, the rapper. I ignored that one. He seemed dubious. But then I saw the news. I felt terrible. So I began helping the others. Because my doubts with Felix were so misfounded, I ended up putting too much faith in the second person that approached me. I went to the media prematurely. I admit my mistake there. But the third person who contacted me also had a credible case. Before I could help, the company got to them somehow. The fact that the family silenced them doesn't seem to fill me with hope when it comes to Clark's intentions. But you're making progress based on the leads he gave you. It's really hard for me to get a read on him.
Likewise.
I'll let you handle it. I've sent you the case I've been working on.
Gina
and some
Clementine.
company records I managed to track
Mary
down.
Beth Clementine.
The records are quite dense, but hopefully they're useful. Good luck.
Thank you. 14. Okay, there we go. We've gotten quite a bit locked in now. Okay, and we can also add in that image of Guy. Oh, what about... Let's see here. Oh! You slut! Normally I use that as a compliment, but I feel like you would take it derogatorily, Miracle. Oh boy. All that to say is that I know we have this image of Miracle Roottree, right? There is this image here of Guy Hudson, as well as these 3 other images of Guy Hudson. If we go back up to Guy Hudson here, we don't have any other images to add up here because we're adding them down here. Clark and Chris, though, their images were added up here. I can't add that image to you, Miracle. You have a child out of wedlock, you pastor? Huh! Now, I don't know whether that's going to be 1 or 2, but I'm just going to write down here. Miracle Roottree affair. Writing that down. You're gonna get put on blast. You fucker. Oh, I'm so glad I'm gonna get to fucking call you out, you son of a... Alright, let's see here. Da-da-da-da. Ruby, yes, yes. Okay, let's double check Roottrees Brazil. I wanted to look into this again. Yeah, Edson Suarez is the guy who asked for them to build the company there, for them to build their factory and everything there. Which, I mean, what we know about Guy is like he would try and... it's like he would do a bit of cucking as an act of celebration. And let's see here again. Da 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 da. Let's see here. I want to... Have I looked up Lucy? Lucy Lang is not exactly a common name, but it's not the most uncommon you've come across either. There are a few that come up with any searchable details, so it might be possible to narrow down your possibilities. A Lucy Lang is mentioned on a robotics website as a part of Team Talenclaw. Team Talenclaw are one of the only 2 teams from the US participating in a new robot-based show in the UK. Another Lucy Lang is a part of a small women's a cappella group in Los Angeles called the Gin and Tonics, and a third Lucy Lang works in New York for a business called Corporate Synergetic Solutions Unlimited. Alright, let's start off with Team Talenclaw. Is the robotics lab of Mid-Eastern University. Their robot, also named Talenclaw, has been selected for appearance on the 2nd season of a British TV show focused on robot fighting. A small blurb mentions that robot fighting leagues have existed for a few years, but there have been recent moves to televise it. Talenclaw was one of 2 teams selected from the US. The Robotics Club has a text-only site you can find linked from the university's student section. The site seems like it's used mostly to announce a schedule to its members. The club is supposed to meet every Tuesday and Thursday, but the last 8 dates have all been cancelled because a few members of the team are currently in the UK filming. Another date from the news from a few weeks back was cancelled for an interview with the school's newspaper. At the bottom, the traveling members of Talenclaw are listed as Team Captain Jaya Patel, and supporting members Lucy Lang and Kurt Hauser. Okay, nothing there. Kurt? No. Alright, back to Lucy here. Let's look at the Gin and Tonics. I didn't mean to highlight that. I didn't mean to search periodicals, I meant to spider search. College a cappella group out of LA. Lucy Lang is listed as a soprano. There doesn't seem to be much else about her other than her name, and that she performs as a soloist on the song Like the Wind. The group were featured on a CD compilation called Boca, performing a cover of a popular boy band song. Not relevant, alright. Like the Wind? Subways of Your Mind by FEX is an early 1980s pop song, and it is a #1 hit in many countries, though it peaked at 6 in the US. It is still played to this day on contemporary stations around the world, and is often found on compilation discs of popular music. One reviewer at the time was quoted as saying, "Subways of Your Mind is one of those rare songs that feels like it has always existed, and the artist just plucked it fully formed from the collective ether. It's hard to imagine a world in which this modern classic won't become a regular part of our audio landscape for the next 100 years. 100 is crazy. One second. FEX had many follow-ups that were just as popular in European countries, though their continued success was significantly more limited in the United States. Their next single, Talking Hands, only reached number 24, and their third single, Modern Danger, failed to chart at all. Due to Subways of Your Mind famously starting with the opening phrase, Like the Wind, and perhaps also due to its lengthy title, those seeking it out or requesting it often search for Like the Wind. Many lyric sites and music hosting sites even labeled it incorrectly, making this mistake even more common. While searching for combinations of Like the Wind and attempting to narrow it down to results that include the Roottrees, you find an obscure Irish band called U2. Once cited both FEX and Jim and Diamond as inspirations. As far as you can tell, neither FEX nor Subways has anything to do with your search, and seeing as U2 is relatively unknown to anyone outside of Dublin, the connection seems to be an odd coincidence. Alright. Let's look up Boca for a thing here, and then back over to Lucy. Corporate Synergetic Solutions Unlimited. I didn't mean to highlight that. There we go, that's what I do. Search. CSSU is a company located in NYC. LL is an LSE. Sorry. Lucy Lang is a lead synergy engineer who is listed as being ranked one of the top facilitators in the world by Business Watch magazine. As far as you can tell, CSSU is a company that other companies hires consultants to increase productivity. It's unclear the exact services they provide. The site is light on details. There are a few high-profile companies listed on their site as former clients. You recognize their names, but none of them are related to your current investigation. Okay. I mean, let me quickly double-check you too. Okay. But I also had these on here so I could also search the periodicals here. Okay, I figured that that was just a little reference bit. I mean, is Subways of your mind? Yeah, that's what I thought it would be. Search periodicals? Nope. Okay. Let's go for, like, some of the other things that might be... Highlight this. Whoops. Okay, fine, I'll do it over here. Modern danger? Okay, like the wind. That's how I got there in the first place. Periodicals? Really? Don't we have... Yeah, we have a music one. Interesting. Nothing there as well. BOGA stands for Best of College A Cappella, and it has existed since 1995. It's a compilation of various a cappella groups from different colleges, often performing covers of popular music. It doesn't appear very relevant to the Roottrees or anyone connected to the Roottrees. No one has ever done a cover of a song by Jim and Diamond, for example. Maybe someday. Okay. Over to Business Watch magazine here. We're gonna start off with CSSU. Alright, and then we're going to look up Lucy Lang. Lucy Lang was listed in Business Watch for her work with CSSU. She's in an article about consultants that corporations hire to facilitate large internal changes. Each person featured in the article has a small bio section, followed by a longer section about why they were chosen. Lucy's bio section mentions she grew up in a small Arkansas town, the oldest of 4 children, and she's the only the second person in her family to have even left the state, since her great-grandparents relocated in the early 1900s. She's earned her degree from a prestigious New York college, started work as a junior associate synergy engineer, and in 8 short years has worked her way up the company ladder. Now at age 32, she's the youngest lead synergy engineer in the company's history. The article calls her one of the top facilitators in the US due to her work on a merger between 2 regional dial-up service providers. As a direct result of her organizational changes and policies, the company managed to eliminate over 200 redundant positions as part of the merger, making it an instant success. That sucks. I'm not sure if this is the Lucy we're looking for, then. Given how, the Hans here. Yeah. I mean, Longxinyu here is going to be... Yeah, that's gonna be one of these affairs here. Okay. Jinyu was 45 in 1992. Okay. I think I'm going to back off from the whole, the foreign stuff for a bit. Because I want to look at this new stuff. And I feel like when I come back to this, I feel like I'm going to need to refresh my mind a lot more. I'm gonna see if there's any, lovely and fresh little bits of fruit and knowledge over here before I go back to my raisins. I don't know what this metaphor is, but who knows. Magazine interview with Cicely Sanchez and Piketty. Traffic, am I right, gamers? Hey, Lee! Hi! Good to see ya. Nice. The issue of Piketty magazine that it came from was pulled from the shelves, but you managed to find it online. Piketty does not label its individual photos. Both photos were instead under the shared label. Cicely was provided these photos by the Roottrees Company for use in her book. Okay. Well, we have this image of Guy. I assume that he had an affair with this woman. And that this might be... periodicals Piketty. Let's see here. Do we know when this happened? I mean, we probably do, right? Met Guy on the last day of 1978. Didn't we get, like, an interview with her? Was that a part of something here? This is it here. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Let's see here. We did the Brazil thing. I mean, do I think that this is the Brazil people? I don't think so. 'Cause I mean... is this guy the kid? Doesn't really look like either of his parents, if so. But if these are married people, then it could be these two here. Because once again, we only have one spouse here who has an image. We have so many photos. Ooh, you get included. First in... There's the first from a magazine interview with Cicely Sanchez and Piketty. The issue of Piketty magazine that it came from was pulled from shelves. Yes, okay. Now these are probably... These look more like... Brazilians here. The background of the photo, there's a Christmas tree. I didn't want to say that these guys were the palest people in the world because they're talking to Guy Hudson, who outshines them. Quite literally. Who are you back there? Da-da-da-da. Christmas tree. I'm gonna put these guys like this. Because I feel like this is right, you know? Ba-ba-ba-ba. This would be Sonia Suarez. Oh, we don't know her, we don't know her maiden name, do we? Ba-ba. Or not Edson. Oh, yes, Edson. Ba-ba-ba. And Flavio Suarez. He's what, a TV host? What was his thing? He's a television guy, isn't he? Not Slavio, his name is Flavio. Newscaster, that was it. I don't know what her job would be. We'll just leave that like that for now, I suppose. See if that does anything. While looking around here as well. This photo is given to you by Sam. A woman named Regina Clementine came to her and claimed that her husband has confessed he thinks he's a root tree. The details of this case can be found in your evidence. Stewart is the older boy wearing the vest. The woman in the photo is Mary Beth Clementine, a singer who may have had an affair with Miracle Root Tree. With Miracle. Okay. I suppose that would be her husband, then. And she would have had 2 children. So, yes, let's go for over here then, I assume, then. Ba-ba-ba. Yes, let's put this under Infidelity 2, then. So, if this is the case, the root tree would be here, Miracle Root Tree. Occupation, priest, right? Or preacher, rather. Ba-ba-ba. Mary Beth Clementine. Well, her name would be Mary Beth. We need her maiden name. And you said singer. Musician. Spouse, we don't know his name, but we have this photo here. Yeah, that makes sense, because this guy, whoever is over here, isn't married. Well, she said her husband, so I assume they're the ones that are still married. So that would be here, Stewart Clementine. Spouse was Regina. We don't know her last name. And sibling here would be this guy. I assume that that's the case then. Looking at other stuff here. Yeah, we can get your photo. Statue in front of the Miami Print Museum, formerly the Bocadoro Library, north of Miami. Said to be of an unknown author. Does that person look like... No, they don't really. I was thinking that person in the background. I mean, that could be Sicily in the background. I don't know what Sicily looks like. Over here, this is L'Ingénieux. We know that she's one of these, we just don't know which. Well, she wouldn't have a spouse, right? I don't believe so. Because something about IVF, right? An early adopter of IVF? That makes sense to me. Genu Long. Well, she wouldn't be one of those. Let's see here. CEO of her family's company, so CEO. She's going by Lucy, but we're not sure. We'll just have that like that, I suppose. Ba-ba-bum. Okay, let's look around a little bit more. God, the fucking Anonymom here. Determined through a DNA test that Anonymom's daughter was not a Rootree. This article, which she did refer to her daughter as Jane Doe Rootree, but did not coin the phrase Anonymom, came before all that, right around the time of her first TV interview. This is a summary. An anonymous woman appeared on the cover of Newstime shortly after 5Ps was confirmed to be a member of the Rootree family. In an homage to the previous cover, she holds up a photo of her daughter. Unlike 5Ps, she wished to remain anonymous, and both photos were obscured. The anonymous woman claimed to have had an affair with Guy Hudson while she was working as his secretary. She and another woman were hired at the same time during a transition period, while many of the secretaries that had worked under Zach Morden were already gone. She says that she and the other woman were both underqualified, as neither had typewriter experience. According to other staff members interviewed, Guy had his own requirements for hiring women. Guy Hudson liked to throw lavish parties, and the longer he was president, the more excuses he found. The anonymous woman posits these parties mostly seem to be an excuse to have after-parties at Guy's home, featuring much more alcohol and other substances. She claims she slept with him at one of these after-parties. She confronted Guy when she found out she was pregnant. Guy didn't seem fazed, and they came to an arrangement. He paid her a significant amount of hush money on a reoccurring basis under the table. She used it to move away and start a new life with her daughter. When Guy died, the money stopped coming, and she assumed things had run their course. She went back to work at the department store and hoped that nobody would ever look too closely at how she paid for her house. She told everyone that her daughter's father walked out one day and never came back. She claimed that after seeing the fantastic article in Newstime, she realized that she wasn't the only one this happened to. While she never worked at the Rootree Company at the same time as 5P's mother, Joanna, their stories seemed eerily similar, and she knew Felix was telling the truth right away. The article presented no tangible evidence of the anonymous woman's time at Rootree, and all the payments were allegedly made in cash. However, using details that she provided in Newstime, their reporters were able to reach out to the other woman hired at the same time, who also remained anonymous. They successfully fact-checked the timeline of both women and confirmed the existence of the infamous after-parties. 5P's case was strengthened, and this new story was subsequently published. I mean, I could see her, like, this being true, but she just also slept with somebody else and then assumed it was Guy. I don't know. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Caroline Morden interview. Cable news interview. A transcript of only Caroline's answers has been posted on a site about television. Now, I believe, if I recall correctly, Caroline... Yep, you're who I thought you were. Thanks for having me. I've never really fit into the family, so it didn't surprise me. She could have put me in if she wanted to talk about the time during my activism days and I almost got arrested for stealing the spark plugs out of all her tractors, but I don't think it really fit her narrative. I mean, I assume that she's talking about Sam's, book there. Yes and no. They never tried to kick me out or send me to live on a farm, if that's what you mean. But I was already pretty unpopular, and once everyone learned why I divorced my husband, few people paid me any attention. She's my wife. Not legally, but we've been together for half our lives. Call it what it is. I was 20 and I just had my daughter. I hate to look back on that time because I was a terrible mother the first few years. I left my daughter with my ex-husband and followed a guy on a private jet to Europe. He lost a tooth and a client. I found love and a better understanding of who I was. Still, in our family's eyes, his trip was somehow more acceptable. Explain that. No, I couldn't stand him. Our family wrote off his behavior like he was some huge fan of romance or women, but he didn't like the entire woman. It was doubly awkward for me because he was more supportive than most. I slowly figured out it was because he assumed I would be as shallow as he was. He was a workaholic. He seemed nice enough and did a good job. I didn't know him well. That was one of Sam's problems with our family. None of us did, except Carl. Honestly, I get why she's pissed. Let me double-check who Carl was. You have an image, because I was thinking that this guy looked like the same, you know? Yeah, I'm putting him in here. Carl. Which of y'all was named Carl? I don't remember shit. Carl! Yeah, so I assume this was either talking about Carl or potentially Ernie? Potentially Ernie Jr., rather. I zoomed in on the wrong Ernie. Ba-ba-ba. I'd rather not speak ill of the dead. Not unless you want more stories about Guy. With Carl, though, all I can say is we used to be friends before they sent him to private school. He came back a lot judgier. It made sense when they made him president. He was a lot like my father after they disciplined the fun out of him. After I started protesting the farms, he stopped returning my calls. And I assume, like, oh, and how's this guy? I assume that it's going to be about Clark, if they're just going through the list of Roottrees here. Oh well, he's harder to label. When I was a teenager, he was basically drunk or high or both all the time. He actually used to sell me pot. His problems with women were different than guys, but he never really judged me. I guess he knew it would be pretty hypocritical to judge anyone for anything. Back then, he was destructively unreliable in every way, but nowadays he's just kind of boring and old. I prefer that to how he used to be, and to Guy and Carl, but it's still a cautionary tale. I hope I'm never that boring and old. Alright. Caroline met Eloise on a trip with a guy. That is interesting. Let's see here. Where's that part where she said that? Highlight that. Oop, not in there. We'll put that in miscellaneous, I think. Okay. Let's look at everything here again. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. I'd like to get some of this stuff down so I can, like, to film more of these, like, fully out. So that way I could get them confirmed or not. It's like I think I have 2 fully out. Ba-ba-ba. I wish we could, like, find a list of Guy Hudson's, secretaries, you know? That would be really useful for us. But unfortunately, we don't have that. Ooh, guardianship here. It's gonna be interesting to go down that way. But, chat, what we do have is an upcoming ad break. So, if you need to go to the bathroom, or if you need to grab a snack, or if you need to get something to drink, now's gonna be the perfect time, so please go ahead and do that. This is also your hourly self-care check-in, so if you need to, be sure to fix your posture, take your meds, save your files, unclench your jaw, feed your pets, charge your devices, do some stretches. Please, take care of yourself, chat. I'm doing my own stretches. There we go. Hell yeah. I got a good pop on my back. If you guys don't mind, I'm gonna quickly, adjust the fan that I have in my room. I have it on the wrong speed. Oop. Whee! And now I'm back. If this one feels a little harder to take notes for this. Cause, you know, it's like 5 people being around here with Guy. And I'm like, I don't know the order of them. I mean, aside from, this little freak over here, Mr. 5Bs himself. So I'm, like, relying on the other things. I feel like I might pursue this line of questioning for a bit, because this one seems a lot more simple. I don't think it'll give me this stuff, but I think, like, maybe some other things will fall into place. And I'm sure if I go back and I read all of the stuff, you know, Brazil and Australia, and, you know, all the fucking places that they went. There were more, I forget. China, obviously, but I think the other one was France. I'm not as confident on that one, because I think that was the one that fully fell apart. But yeah. I think focusing on the miracle infidelity is gonna be a good, I don't want to say starting point, because obviously we've already had a starting point. But you know, before we fully launch into the Guy Hudson Power Hour. I'm truly like, I don't know how to... Oh yeah, there's the Guardian thing there. I don't know how I'm gonna be doing every which thing here, you know? Every little bitty bit for my notes is... Now granted, I know my notes at the start of Roottrees weren't the best, but I feel like I got the hang of them pretty quickly. Rootree Mania, though. Oh boy. Okay, welcome back from the ads, everybody. Let's continue looking around here. I think I'm gonna not focus on these right now. I think what I want to focus on is the Clementine stuff. I think this seems like a good little small bit to nibble on. From 6 pieces at prodigy.us to Genealogy Genie at prodigy.us. Is that us? Let me plop these in here. this is all the information I have about Regina Clementine, née Salazar. Thank you. Regina is Salazar. Here we are. And we're just gonna fully put this in here. From New Orleans, Louisiana, and her husband, Stuart Clementine. Yep, I have him on here. She wrote me about a month ago. Apparently the Roottrees lawyers went after her since then. By the time I received her letter and called her, she told me she couldn't cooperate anymore. Her husband, who was a police officer and never knew her father, told her he thought he might be a Roottree. But he's estranged from his family and didn't want to pursue it because he had no proof. She wrote to me behind his back. Normally I wouldn't be so sure, but she had some pretty credible facts. Some of it I've been able to confirm. Stuart's mother was a singer, was named Mary Beth Clementine. She was pretty well known in the 30s to 50s, a singer who went on tour to a lot of churches. You can look her up online. She was a pretty big proponent of adoption. I know for a fact she came to Butler County a few times. I remember her from when I was younger. And Regina said that Stuart told her they always seemed to spend a lot of time at the Miracle Church. She sent me a photo to prove that she's who she says she is. I've attached it to this email. Sam Madsen, 6 pieces Unwrapping America's Sweetest Family is out now! Please consider saving a tree and not printing this email. Look! It's already printed. Look, I print everything out. I need it in front of me. Yeah, and I already have your book here. Okay, let's do some research into this here. Starting off, really, with Mary Beth Clementine. Mary Beth Clementine was a sister, most popular in the years between 1942 and 1953. She traveled around the country, performing at churches. Her repertoire was a mix of religious and popular songs, and although she recorded a few records, they seemed lost to time. The only one you find mentioned was a cover of He's Got the Whole World in His Hands, released under the label New Edison. One thing Mary Beth was known for was her adoptions. She's listed on many sites that mention adoption and the history of adoption. She adopted 2 children in the late 1940s, Stuart and Mark. So now we have the name of the other kid. This would be Mark. Last name would be, what was it? Clementine? Yeah. And we know that this guy was a cop. Hey! Who did I get? I don't remember who I have in. Hey! I'm glad to have those people confirmed. Booyah. Alright. That helps. That really helps. Okay, cause yeah, that just leaves 2 affairs for Guy. Like, we don't have her locked in, but it's obviously her. I mean, unless it's her in the background. But, you know. We just need her last name and occupation. And then we can figure out who these 2 women are. They're likely this one, and maybe this one? I'm not sure. Could also be this woman. Those are the women who have interacted with Guy. We just also need Joanna's last name. Anyway. She also spoke as an advocate for the benefits of adoption in front of the U.S. Congress in 1949, who were convening to debate and discuss the then-recent first adoption of an African-American child to a white family in the U.S. She was specifically there to detail her experience going through the system to adopt Stuart. Her other son was adopted later, and according to a single line on one adoption site, under, quote, unusual circumstances, unquote. In 1959, it surfaced that Mary Beth had been twice divorced, both times to her manager Sterling. This ended her career with a religious audience she had been catering to, and while she had performed occasionally since then, she mostly faded into obscurity. She passed away at 76 of a stroke. Alright. Let me highlight that. There we go. Okay. So that's Mary Beth. Do we know the name of her husband? No. But his last name is going to be Clementine. Ba-ba-bum. Well, no, this is an X. I guess her name would be Clementine, then. Yeah, this would be, her manager, Sterling. Is that a first name or a last name? That is for sure a first name, then. Her manager. We're gonna be looking into New Edison. We might be able to find something there. I mean, let's just quickly check for Regina Clementine. Didn't think so. And Regina Salazar. Yeah. Ba-ba-bum. Stuart Clementine. Clementine isn't that popular of a last name, and you managed to find a Stuart Clementine listed as one of the many names on an emergency services website in New Orleans. Seems he's a cop. No web presence. Alright. We'll also look up, was it Mark? Yes. Crocodile Clementine is listed on a website called The Infamy List. It's a massive list of criminals who are known for odd crimes. Although Mark's nickname would imply that he hails from Florida, a lot of others on the list come from there, or Australia, Mark is listed as being from LA. He's a pretty big entry, and he seems like a real piece of work. There's a small note about him being the basket baby of 1950. Wait, is this like the boy in the box? He lost a job in 75 as a pilot for a regional airline after he tried to board the wrong airline's plane. He was drunk. Oh my god. He was charged with trespassing and assault. In 82, he was arrested for transporting smuggled animals over Canadian and Mexican borders for an illegal reptile supplier in LA. Oh my god, this guy's crazy. I love it. He was apparently quite successful for the first 4 years, but was caught when he tried to make an emergency landing in Portland after he was bitten on the foot by a crocodile, hence the nickname. Apparently, the Portland Telegraph is credited as giving his nickname. Well, no, I'm gonna put that part in the miscellaneous, or to search, rather. Da-da-da. That's not... there we are. Well, I added a bracket to that I wasn't looking for, but you know, things happen. Ba-ba. I feel like this guy might be the one who's actually the affair, and not Stuart. But, who knows. In 1993, he was released on parole, but his freedom didn't last long. He was arrested in 94 in San Diego for violating it in an attempt to visit his daughter's graduation. He famously punched the principal, a man named Billy Sims. This incident received national press. Okay. Well, we know he has a daughter. I suppose pilot? Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. This guy's wild. I love it. We need to pop this in here. Double checking over here. Okay, over to the periodicals, we're going to go to the Butler County Times to look up Mary Beth. Mary Beth Clementine came to Butler County a few times and played religious hymns at Miracle Congregation's church. Mentioned twice, so the first is more substantial. Miracle Congregation welcomes Mary Beth Clementine with open arms. The article mentions the church's leader was moved when he heard Mary Beth's recording of one of his favorite hymns, His Eye is on the Sparrow, never heard that one, and reached out to her personally. His Eye is on the Sparrow holds a very special meaning to me. As you know, I've had a very difficult upbringing, and it's no secret that my own eyes have always been a source of struggle. The song is about overcoming sadness and hardship through Jesus. If God can find a way to watch over every sparrow, he can certainly watch over those made in his image. My family's fortune does me no good as a man of the Lord. It's much better spent spreading his word. And I felt a kinship with Mary Beth ever since I heard her voice. When I learned her personal story, I knew I had to help her in whatever way I could. The Bible is full of adoptions, from Moses to Esther. Spending your life taking care of those helpless to themselves is incredibly noble. She and her son are welcome to stay in our guest home. The second visit was a few years later in '53. The article mentions that her first visit was a massive success, and at the insistence of Miracle's congregation, she's returned for an encore performance. It also mentions that the unusual circumstances of her second son's adoption have prevented her from touring recently, but doesn't clarify. Yeah, they keep mentioning her that the second son is really weird. His Eye on the Sparrow is a religious hymn, been covered over the years by many artists, so not very relevant. Premise is, singer realizes they should not feel discouraged or disparaged by their troubles since God is watching over everyone. If God can watch over and love something as small as a sparrow, then the singer knows God is also there to watch over them. Okay, yeah, that's what he said then. Going back over here, let me do a search all. I thought that maybe Modern Music Monthly could have had something. We've heard all that before. Very positive review of her cover. Writer complimented her voice and the tone of her guitar. Review had nothing to say about Mary Beth herself, not much use. Other Mary Beth Clementine releases. One of them was The Rugged Old Cross, which is the only song that was advertised but not reviewed. Aha! When it was first reviewed by the magazine, however, the artist was listed as Mary Beth Quaker. Changed her last name, huh? Alright. Or actually, I feel like she's probably Clementine, but that might have been the last name of Sterling. Let me look up Sterling Quaker. Damn, Sterling Clementine. Welp, it was worth a shot. Alright. I'll take away his last name for now, then. Okay, let's look up New Edison. Small record label based in LA that existed for a few years in the 40s. It raced to release cover records of songs that were already gaining in popularity. According to a website about the history of recorded sound, it was named after its founder, Sterling Edison. Its biggest claim to fame is being sued by the estate of Thomas Edison in Edison Records vs. Edsel. Alright. You find a few references to New Edison and Mary Beth Clementine on sites about old records. One collector says that the Holy Grail is a re-release of the Rugged Old Cross, and says that the first edition was originally published before she legally changed her name. Alright, so Quaker is her original last name. Sterling's last name is Edison. Ba-ba-bum. Another site claims that the police had to be called to New Edison Records after its owner got into a physical altercation in public, leading to a divorce. There are no cited sources or evidence, and the site's content seems user-submitted. There's an email address at the bottom and the phrase, "Send me your stories about old Hollywood and I'll add them to the page." Okay. Da-da-da-da-da. So I read about Crocodile again. Okay, let's start with this. Yeah, that's what I thought it would be. Okay. I figured those were just our emails. Ba-ba-ba. There was something I wanted to check. What was it? Right, I wanted to look up New Edison on, the periodicals. Modern Music Monthly! Okay, seems that New Edison Records and Modern Music Monthly have had quite a bit of overlap. There are countless advertisements for various covers of popular songs, and they all start to blend together. When you scan the results for anything other than an advertisement, you do find a very brief blurb from when New Edison was sued by Edison Records. By the time the magazine had covered it, it seemed like the lawsuit was settled out of court and New Edison was destined to shut down. The owner, who went by Sterling Edison, said he'd likely create a new record company, but there's no evidence anywhere that he did, and that was the last mention of him in MMM. I'll just put that in here, just in case. Alright. Let's look up the Portland Telegraph. Yeah, I figured that would be a periodical here. Run-of-the-mill newspaper based out of Portland, Oregon. They have a website with a lot of dry statistics about how many subscribers they have, how many issues there have been, how many awards they have won. Doesn't appear to have any useful data. Well, I gotta look up Crocodile Clementine, though. They provided the nickname Crocodile Clementine, and some details about his first major arrest. Flying weekly between LA, Juarez, and Vancouver on a small plane. His flights were very low, literally under the radar. He was only caught because he was bit by a crocodile on the leg, and had to call in a mayday because he was losing blood. He tried to tell them that he was a crop duster who somehow cut his leg on a loose piece of metal in the cockpit. But his story seemed very odd, and controllers quickly alerted the police without informing him. When he landed, they were waiting, and he was promptly arrested. That is... wow. I mean... I don't think this will be anything new. Yeah. Okay. Let's look up this first. Edison Records was one of the first record labels named after Thomas Edison. The history of the company seems very unimportant, except potentially for a lawsuit they filed in 1949. Edison Records v. Edsel. A website about lawsuits mentions this as a fun case because the name of the lawsuit was actually the biggest problem for the person being sued. A record producer, who called himself Edison, was outed as not actually being named Edison. Edsel was a German last name, and at the time of the founding of the company, the US was at war with Germany. The company's founder immediately settled to try and get the case to go away, but the damage was done. There we go. That was his real last name then. Alright. Now let's look up Billy Sims. Principal of Sandstone Canyon High School, who had his 15 minutes of fame in '94 when he was punched by Crocodile Clementine at a graduation ceremony. Pretty much every news organization, from Trustworthy to Tabloid, seemed to have their own take on the altercation. It wasn't the punch that captured the nation's attention, however. Instead, it was Billy Sims' matter-of-fact response to the threat and his comments afterwards, as heard in a now-famous audio clip by someone who was recording the ceremony. Billy saw Mark hop onto the graduation stage and said, "Sir, you'll want to sit down or we'll have a problem." At that point, Crocodile reportedly sucker-punched him in the face. Billy, apparently only slightly dazed, said, "All right, sir, I guess we'll have a problem." Clementine tried to throw another punch, but Sims anticipated it and performed a maneuver that spectators described as a, quote, "a wrestling move mixed with backward somersault," unquote, which immediately brought both men to the floor with Sims straddling Clementine, keeping him neutralized. As the security arrived, a recording captured someone asking, "How did you do that?" and Sims' response was famously, "Trust me, I'm as surprised as anyone." Neat. I'll pop that in there. That's fun. I like that. That's silly. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. I mean, do we have anything new for this? High school in San Diego, nothing else other than the Billy Sims. Got it. Okay, Basket Baby. A few sites about true stories focused on and around religion mention that in 1950, a gospel singer named Mary once found herself dealing with a real-life baby Moses situation. Do I have Basket Baby written on here? No, I do not. Apparently, she was a rather prominent supporter of the concept of adoption, and someone decided to test how much. They left a baby on her doorstep in a basket. According to the sites, she adopted him without question and raised him as her own. Although it wasn't national news, in many circles he became known as the Basket Baby, and he even went on tour with her as he grew up. None of the websites state who the woman or the baby were, likely to prevent people from looking into either of the people too closely. From context, you note that it's Mary Beth Clementine, who would later be shunned due to her personal life, and her son Mark, who would later be known as Crocodile Clementine. Alright. Yeah, for sure Mark is a miracle affair kid here. Do we have anything that'll give, Mark's kids? Aha! I mean, it did say that, the Billy Sims thing was covered by everybody. Damn, even the Butler County Times. Alright. It did report, but the information seems redundant. Yeah, I figured. Picotee's kinda sleazy, so they're not afraid to publish a few details that a few more reputable news publications normally wouldn't. You look up the Billy Sims incident, and it seems they did report on it. Few new bits of info. Okay. Billy was once arrested for throwing a Molotov cocktail at a company that was found to be testing their products on animals. According to police paperwork, Crocodile's bail was paid for by Tostarito Jacobson. It was fairly expensive. Picotee interviewed other students that were going to the event to find out if anyone knew anything. And word going around was that Mark Clementine showed up because his daughter Mary was graduating that night. The Billy thing, yeah, it's a high school. So that could be the older kid. I don't know how the other one would be. One of these kids is named Mary, for sure. Back to the periodicals here. Over to news time. Did a small piece about the fight between Sims and Crocodile, but tried to approach it from a different perspective. Their goal was to paint a picture of the two men involved from others who knew them best. Not only did they manage to interview Sam's wife Carla, as well as multiple staff members in the school, they also hunted down Colleen Webb, Mark's ex-wife. Oh, that's the first name. According to the section with Colleen, she and he met when he worked for an airline and she worked in an airport newsstand. He was a drinker and would often have wild mood swings. When he was charged with assault of a fellow pilot in '75 and lost his job, they divorced. At the time, she was pregnant with their second daughter and felt she needed to get out before things got worse. Okay. In 1975, so either giving birth in 75 or in 76. You know? Well, I mean, we know from... Where is he? It'll be this. We know from Felix Fellows that if you were born in 1975, you would have turned... turned 17 in 92. So... This took place in... The punch happened in 94. That's what I thought. So it could be... I don't know. It's a little close, but it's not exact for this younger one. I'm gonna put Mary in the first one. She might be the other one, though. One of these kids is named Mary. She left him and moved to San Diego to live with her sister, and told her oldest that her dad had to fly planes for the army. She raised them both by herself, and although she never went through the trouble of changing their names legally, they used the web name so no one could ever connect them to her ex-husband. Oops. So yeah, they would both be, legally Clementine then. Okay. I would guess that the kids' names, if that one's name is Mary, they could be named Mary and Beth. That's fully a guess, but I'm just gonna do that. Okay, so like... No, not in that. In Infidelity 2. Confirmed that one of Mark's daughters is named Mary. The other being named Beth is a guess. Alright. I'm like, surely we gotta have an image of them somewhere here. I mean, can we just get Mary Clementine? And then just Beth? Alright. Oh, this you? This is Mark. Yeah, here, we'll put you there for now, bud. We can put your older photo. We can get the bonus later. Once we have you locked in. Okay. And we can look at this other stuff here. You know what? Yeah, let's look over here. An entry entitled Cruelty from Lauren Roottrees' diary, written in 1963. It focused on the relationship between her mother and father. While it offered only redundant information during your previous investigation, it mentions a subject of affairs and may be more useful this time around. I'm no stranger to true love. Jacob and I married at an age that most deem unfit for marriage, but he was also enlisting at an age that most deem unfit for war. We had no choice. I knew in my heart that our marriage was one for the ages. He and I would still be together today if not for Okinawa. That was nearly 20 years ago, but there's an emptiness in my soul. I do not understand my contemporaries. So many girls I went to school with have taken multiple lovers. So many of my girlfriend's husbands have been unfaithful. If I am able to remain true to the ghost of a man with no chance of physical reciprocation, no potential for long conversation, how could it be so hard to love someone you can reach out and touch? Someone you can joke with? I've not had to deal with such madness at home. My parents are a perfect match, in the worst way. My mother's cruelty is a perfect fit for my father's general spite. In turn, Pop's status enables her incessant need to gloat and feel superior. I have grown up with their cruelty and disdain for others my entire life. Even my family remains unspared. They make fun of my grandpop and his family sayings. Blood is thicker than syrup, but nothing's thicker than Elias. They mimic Grandma Gwyneth's lisp and see her kindness as a weakness. Elias, please remember Tham. Not even our family's maladies and religion go unmocked. Remember, God only put one eye in miracle. I can say without a doubt in my mind that my parents have never had eyes for anyone outside their marriage. They're too self-centered to look astray. Damn. Okay, now that allegedly, has a clue for us. But it is that, Sarah and Clancy Edward are perfect for each other. These two apparently also. This guy's a dick. Everybody hates everybody. But, I mean, we could also... It could also be, this, so many girls I went to school with have taken multiple lovers. So many of my girlfriend's husbands have become unfaithful. I don't know if there's gonna be, other people in her generation, maybe, she means, that would be doing stuff. I don't know. Okay. You were given some partial staff records to cross-reference by Sam Madsen. These records are based on old tax mailing information and only detail the employees that work directly for Roottree or in their corporate office. The many laborers on their farms and in their factories are not listed. You're not sure how helpful it would be, except for cross-referencing Guy's secretaries and his visits overseas. Spider searching people just because they're listed in these books will likely be very time-consuming and a waste of your time. Fair. So when Zach was president, Special Management Ernie Jr., Office Staff Edward Roottree, Lloyd Jr., Carl Monroe, Elizabeth Cravensworth. We have... What was that image that we had here? Why was it... Let's see here. What was your name? Zach. Trying to remember why Zach stopped being president. Because I remember Guy... I believe Guy was a car accident. Ernie was a health problem. Carl, famously, plain. I don't remember why Zach... Either he stepped down... Or, let's see here. I go for Business Watch maybe here? Yes, okay, so he just stepped down. That's what I thought. I was like, I don't remember him dying. Yeah, he just stepped down. So this image here, I would assume, is him stepping down, and this is maybe his secretary? If so, then... Elizabeth Cravensworth is a name here. Her office staff. Let's just quickly add a list here. Roottrees employees. Zach just there as a thing here. Elizabeth Cravensworth. Juliet McCullen, Joanna Roberts, Doris Mays, Beth Knox, Samantha Madsen. I'm gonna write off... I feel like it's mostly gonna be secretaries. I'll keep in office staff. I'm gonna write off farm and manufacturing, I think. But yeah, let's see here. We can put... Let me look at Anonymom again. Yeah, you are blonde. That is you, isn't it? I feel like that is probably Anonymom here. Maybe? Not sure which of these people she would be, though, but, we did get Joanna's last name here. Robertson. Excellent. I think that means that we have 3 now in fully here. Let me quickly do... No, I won't. I won't. I was gonna, like, just plug in all of these other names. Let's not. Let's not. Let's look around, and then if I get stuck, I'll do that. Okay. Yeah, Zach retires, Guy takes over at start of 78. Retirement party in November before spending the final month working on the transition. Alright. Patrick hired secretaries. Yeah, Joanna got her last name changed here. Christine Farrow hired. Joanna and Beth no longer employed. Christine last name changed. Okay. I feel like this is gonna be Christine then. Whoever it is, her last name changed to Garland. This would be secretary. Christine Farrow? No? I mean, no, I was gonna say unless divorce, but no, that's not, this isn't a listed divorce. Just clear that out. Gwyneth Madsen hired. Beth Knox 50-year work anniversary bonus. Wow. So yeah, Beth is likely old. I think we can eliminate Beth from being a contender here. If she's been working for 50 years, I feel like maybe that might have run its course. Okay. Then we take over here. Guy officially takes over. Elizabeth doesn't work there anymore. Christine is no longer working there. These people start working here. Beatrice Watson, Corrine Schwartz. Juliet and Doris don't work there anymore, but Lisa and Valerie do. Okay, major expenses. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. 1978 Christmas Tree Bash. 1979. There we are. Travel expenses. 4th of July Spectacular and a New Year's Eve ball. That's fun. Terry O'Connor hired. Susan Ford moved to office staff. Was Susan Ford, Oh, as an interpreter, I didn't notice that. Let's make sure that that is part over here. Now we're going over to the next bit here. Terry hired, Susan Ford moved to office staff. Product management here. Corinne and Beatrice aren't employed. Linda, Lewis, and Angela are hired. Lisa Lewis and Valerie Ewing no longer employed. Catherine Garrett hired. Really trying a lot of different flavors here. Another Christmas Tree Bash. Ba-bum. There's another one. Randorf Dove donation. Okay. Guy Hudson died in May of 1982, so the first few months of that year continued along the same pattern that they had been. Things quickly changed when Ernie took over, most of the extraneous expenses ended, and all the secretaries, most handpicked by Guy Hudson, were let go. Sam Madsen left Roottree in 1984, so this is the last set of books you have access to. Okay. Susan Ford no longer employed. They use a temp agency called a Work Time Temp. New Year's Eve ball, baby! And then Root Clothing reimbursement there. Alright. So we have those to look up. Grandorf Dove is a school for the deaf. Formerly Grandorf Dove is located about an hour from where the Roottree offices used to be in Butler County, but it serves much of that part of Pennsylvania and nearby Ohio. According to their website, it was formerly Grandorf Dove, or Dove. Yeah, it is Dove. Okay, sorry, I was reading it weird. Because Grandorf was the last name of the founder, and Dove is the Spanish word for deaf. The founder had issues with government translators, leading to an odd transcription issue. In 1990, it was renamed to better represent the school's purpose to correct the embarrassing lack of effort and awareness demonstrated by the government officials in those early days. The staff is listed on the website. You scan through all the biographies and find the principal, Miss Ford, is fluent in 5 languages, including ASL. She has been working at the school for over 15 years. Miss Ford's bio also mentions she's not deaf herself, but rather learned sign language to communicate with the deaf. The deaf. I said deaf. It mentions that she was responsible for securing funding for the Hudson Wing. Guy Hudson. This guy Hudson gave money. It was this year, yeah? Okay. Miscellaneous here. Guy Hudson donates... That's not the $sign. 250 grand to a deaf school. Where the principal is Miss Ford, you know? Is Miss Ford. Likely Susan Ford, his interpreter. So that could be a thing for the Hudson Wing. I mean, it's probably named after him, right? Expansion built on Grandorf Dove, now a Grandorf School for the Deaf. First built in 1982. Separate, much smaller building, half a block from the main campus, and operates a smaller, independent school that offers free ASL courses for family members, friends, and caretakers of deaf children. According to the history site, they got their name after the president of the Roottrees Company generously donated 250 grand towards the construction of the building. There's also a very vague history section that you can somewhat fill in with details from the other information you've seen about the school. It mentions that the donation came at the insistence of an employee of Roottrees at the time. It mentions that she learned ASL from the school, before the Hudson Wing even existed, to surprise her future husband, who was deaf. After realizing how useful a service this could be to non-deaf people that wished to better serve those with hearing issues, she convinced Roottrees management to invest in the school. The Hudson Wing opened, and she became the first teacher at the new campus. At first it only operated on weekends, but since then it has added afternoon classes on some weekdays. We go back to the school bit again. Working at the school for over 15 years. 1982. It's 1999 now. Yeah, that's a bit over 15 years. I mean, it's a little bit more than that, but you know. They said over. I don't know how often they update their website. Alright. I mean... Susan Ford, does she have... Okay. I don't know if she would show up in the periodicals. Yeah. We'll look up Grandorf Dove, though. Figured it would be in the Butler County. Regularly listed in articles with other local schools. Butler County Times Archives includes what seems like an endless list of snow cancellations, extracurricular activities, weekend events that began over 70 years ago and stretch into the last mention in 1990. Amongst the avalanche of useless information, you almost miraculously discover one useful article. Grandorf Dove was the center of a crime article in 1982. It seems that someone defaced the school in vehicles outside of the brand new Hudson Wing of the school. There were multiple broken windows, and one of the teacher's cars was painted with profanities and accusations of infidelity. A few weeks later, a follow-up article provides more details. There was one arrest, Thomas Hughes, who was coincidentally a former student at the school. Apparently, the destruction came weeks after he married the school's newest teacher, Mrs. Hughes. She was not a teacher when he met. He graduated a few years earlier. According to the reporter's investigation into the police reports, trials, and restraining orders, Mr. Hughes was convinced that he was not the father of Mrs. Hughes' current pregnancy. He was released on bail, and the school has agreed not to press criminal charges after an agreement was made to pay for the damages for the couple to begin divorce proceedings. Okay. Well, that makes me think over here. Thomas Hughes. Susan Ford here. Principal? That could be this person. I'm not confident on that, though. Could also be you. Who the fuck knows? You could be a statue, for all I know. Alright. I don't know Sonia's last name, and that keeps bothering me. Okay. I mean, I do feel like... Well, they said that confirmed no's wouldn't be on here, you know? So I guess this wouldn't be an Anamom. Alright. Notable events, there's still one more in this one here. Well, I feel like a lot of them are going to be from pretty much everything Guy is doing. Guy is doing a lot. In fact, he's got 5, famously here. Oh, we have another image of him here. There we go. Now we filled out all of Guy's stuff. What's that image of? That is Elias. Elias? Who are you getting with, you little freak? You absolute... Ugh. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. I mean, it could be Bess Williams. Let me double check who Bess Williams is, I suppose. I've been thinking that that could be Bess. Let me just do this. Sometimes an instinct is right. Sometimes an instinct is so real. Okay, we can also now check the, some of these people who we are... Excuse you!
Sam reached out to me finally.
God, I forgot that's what you sounded like.
For that one. My family's in a bit of a rough patch. Even though the candy is selling better than ever, everyone is fighting over the trust. The majority of us want to dissolve it. On paper, it seems like the right decision. The arguments about what to do next are endless and heated. More than a few Roottrees are worried about losing their wealth. I don't think we deserve it more than anyone else. I love my family, my wife, my daughters, even my son, who I hardly ever get to see. I want to keep them safe and secure, but I didn't do anything to deserve this fortune. Hell, I probably deserve it less than most. It took me way too long to get my life together.
Pat, pat, pat.
Okay, enough about me. Here's the deal. I can't stop the majority from voting one way or another. If you keep passing along potential Roottrees, I'll keep adding them to the list. On the other hand, there's been some leaps forward in genetics. It may sound like science fiction, but we can actually determine who's in the family just by testing
Whoa,
DNA.
crazy.
What you've done so far has been very useful. Just keep filling out the tree and we'll prepare for the tests.
Okay. Great. Anyway, chat. Let's plop this guy in here. We are about to experience 3 minutes of ads. So if you need to go to the bathroom, or if you need to grab a snack, or if you need to get something to drink, now is going to be the perfect time to do so. One second, I'm just looking around being like, okay, there's something wrong on Joanna. Something wrong with Joanna here. Maybe she got another job later. But anyway, if you need to do any of that, please take care of yourself now. The game is going to be paused. I am actually not going to do anything during it. Except for remind you to fix your posture, take your meds, save your files, unclench your jaw, feed your pets, charge your devices, and do some stretches. Please take care of yourself, chat. It's really important. It's really good to do. I highly encourage it. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle the tree. I'll have to double check Joanna's name, and if not, then like, if it's correct as Joanna Roberts, or Robertson, or whatever the fuck it was, then I've gotta, I guess she got like a different job later, you know? And it's, I also need to figure out Sonia's last name. I need to figure out who, Mark's kids are. Figure out if Miss Ford has any kids. And also potentially see, ooh! Sorry, I just noticed. I'm gonna have to point this out again after the ads. That locked in, so that is Miss Ford. I just need an image of her. I forgot her first name. Was it Susan? Okay, it was Susan. I knew it began with an S, but I wasn't confident. Hence why I said that I didn't know her name, even though I immediately guessed what her name was. I'm gonna adjust my fan again. I had it turned up a bit more because I know that my room can get pretty warm when I'm streaming, but it hasn't been necessary. All it serves is to make me cold. Which, like, I'd prefer to be cold over warm. You know? Like, as a baseline. Because when you're cold, you can always put on more stuff. You can always, like, put on a jacket. You can always put on a blanket. When you're warm, you're fucked. You know? When you're warm, it's just like, damn, dude. Oh, am I supposed to do? Take my skin off at this point? Do. All of these yellow. It makes me feel so proud. Like I've accomplished shit. Look at what I've done. Look upon my works, ye mighty, in despair. Ads are over. Welcome back. Something I noticed here, chat. Look at this. Thomas Hughes locked in. I didn't register that. So this for sure is going to be Susan Ford then. So that's really fun. Hee. So we've just got to figure out who this is as well. Just so we have like a baseline for any of these. Ooh, we can sort our notes a bit now, I just realized. Yes, for sure, let's do that. Okay. Okay. We're not sure about that one. Da-da-da. Ruby Spratt is from Portland, I wrote down. Wait a fucking second. Before I do any organization stuff, Ruby Spratt is from Portland. Ruby Spratt was featured in the Portland Telegraph when she was in high school, in an article called Local Teen Making Change for Foster Care System. According to the article, Ruby Spratt grew up in her foster care system, and was apparently the valedictorian of her school and was a Girl Scout who, at the time of the article, was earning her Gold Award. This required a project to help the community, and Ruby chose to raise money to build a fountain she called Foster Fountain. The fountain has a few small pedestals that stick up above the water. People are expected to toss coins into the fountain for good luck, and will be encouraged to aim for the top of the pedestals. All the coins scraped from the bottom are slated to be donated to the Portland's foster care system. A coalition of local businesses that sponsor the fountain have committed to matching any of the donations that successfully land on the targets. Okay. She grew up in foster care. Makes me feel like she could be, over here, you know? I'm seeing a guardian thing here. I'm gonna tentatively pencil in a little bit of maybe a Ruby Spratt here. Not sure though. I'm seeing 2 married and no divorce. Hell yeah, good for y'all. You know what? Nah, I'm not gonna pencil her in. I'm just gonna have that in my brain. Like, I put the note down about her being in foster care. Da-da-da. Let's see here. Oh yes, that's all stuff that we can put in. This is infidelity number 4. For Roottrees Brazil. Edson Suarez. We'll pop this note in here as well. Back over to miscellaneous. We'll go to here. We'll delete this. Copy this into here. Back over to miscellaneous. Where's that note? Copy that. Flop that over into here. Okay, the factories was controversial as locals did not want it there. They wanted Brazil. Roottrees visited around Christmas, managed to break ground. Then there were those incidents. Miami Mercury Sunday was a newspaper. Da-da-da. Okay, I think that's everything about Brazil that I had in the miscellaneous. Let's check the affairs section. Ba-ba. Let's see here. Let's go back to 6 pieces here. Let's just reread this real quick. Da-da-da. She ran the farm. Most of the rumors come along with Guy Hudson. Sam did not like him. Sam was not a fan of him, and Guy was not a fan of remaining faithful to his wife. Well, from what I've seen, Patricia was fine with it, so I feel like that's cool. Da-da. Okay, I had to read this so many times to understand what the fuck they were talking about, so... Elizabeth has a daughter. Elizabeth's daughter is one of Guy's secretaries. And then this caterer from this place allegedly met her there and they eloped. We know this so much. I think we don't need this to be highlighted. You know? We got that. We got that guy who's going places and fucking women. We know that so much. Elias may have cheated on Gwyneth. Gwyneth is always much kinder to Sam than Elias was, and was the first to invite Sam to family events. While she has no hard evidence, Sam always got the impression that Gwyneth was able to coerce Elias into allowing Sam back into the family using some kind of leverage instead of it being a natural course of events. Sam also says to her son Ernie once asked her, "Who's Beth?" because they overheard them yelling about someone with that name. As far as Sam knows, Elias once had a secretary named Elizabeth. Well, there's Bess. Because they mentioned this time. I thought it was odd that they mentioned that Gwyneth... Was it Gwyneth? Yeah. That Gwyneth had a lisp. It's truly just because of that. I was like, they didn't mention that at all in the beginning of this. Hello. Good job, Artificer. Welcome back. It's because her name was Bess. Oh my god. Alright. Ba-ba-ba. He had a mistress named Susie. Susan! That's who you're talking about. Susie. Okay. Over to, that would be Affair the 5th. And yeah, he died soon after, that's why she's the 5th. Okay. Back to affairs here. Well, I mean, that could be Robin, then, for the Australia lady. I don't know if that was before, though. I'll keep that in this bit here. I don't know if, I don't know if that's gonna be... If this is gonna be one of his secretaries, or if this is gonna be Robin. Okay, and then we can go over here to this bit. This will be infidelity number 3. Infidelity 3. This was put into miscellaneous. Ah, there it is. We're gonna move this into affair number 3. This IVF thing. Which is a fucking lie. We know that Miracle had an affair now. Robin Martin. After Charles Martin here. Martin's licorice bullets. 79 he helped develop Roottrees Australia. So that... yeah, I feel like that could be... Okay, can we pull up the expense report from 6 pieces... not 6 pieces, from the confidential company records here. You know, that thing that Sam gave us. There we are. Zach's retirement party. Let's see here. Australia is listed first. I don't know if that is... So we're just gonna list... we're gonna put Robin here. Who took over Charles's company, right? No, she sold both businesses at first opportunity. Yeah, I think we're gonna put her in at number 2. Have I looked up Robin Martin yet? Real quick, let's go over here. Take this, put it in this. Robin Martin is featured in many of the top 100 wealthiest women in the world lists. She owns a private island off the coast of Australia where she reportedly has an exclusive retreat. No husband. And there is a widely circulated rumor elsewhere in the 70s that she had a medical procedure to ensure she would never have children. Okay, so she is completely unrelated to anything then. Good to know. I'll put her in miscellaneous. Robin Martin has no children. Or husband. At least in the 70s. But in the 80s, she she had a medical procedure to ensure she would never have children. You find a joke on a site called Edgy Jokes that implies she's quite promiscuous and has a punchline involving Robin's eggs. For what it's worth, Martin seemed to lean into the rumors. In the 80s, she once showed up at a charity function with 3 very attractive men, each wearing a shirt that simply said, "Satisfied Partner" on it. I love her for that. I love that. No, not, I didn't mean to highlight that. I wanted to spider search it to see if it would tell me the beautiful, totally not bad joke. The site is called Edgy Jokes. Besides the jokes about Robin's Ends, there's a lot of jokes about the band U2 for whatever reason. Yeah, I didn't figure. What about the periodicals? I'm gonna do a search all. I figured it would be Business Watch, but I wasn't confident. Apparently, Robin Martin sold off her father's assets in 1992, the year after he died, which combined with her inheritance immediately catapulted her into an almost unimaginable level of wealth. The writer at Business Watch, who was assigned to report on this news, seems to disapprove of this move immensely. While the article does touch on the announcement of who took over the licorice division as well as what was to become of the maple candy factory, the entire text seems to be dripping with content that someone would be willing to, quote, dismantle and gut, unquote, such a successful company to, quote, to earn, quote, a quick buck, unquote. The article ends with a dig at Robin's personal life and lack of traditional values. Quote, but who am I to judge? Maybe she sold it to ensure a better future for her own children. Oh, wait, unquote. Shut the fuck up. You work for a business magazine. Nobody gives a fuck about you. Okay. Let's see here. One of Sam's farm supervisors named Elizabeth. Let's look back over here. Farm supervisors, farming and manufacturing. Farming and manufacturing. Elizabeth Farrow. Where's my fucking carrot? Thought it was over 6. I guess I just wasn't hitting 6. So it would be Pharaoh's daughter? Would be one of these, potentially. Let's keep an eye on Elizabeth Farrow. No longer employed. Okay, and then, like, looking at Roottrees secretaries. Christine Farrow. Alright. So that's gonna be you, isn't it? Christine Farrow. Spouse Garland. Judy? Secretary. I'm assuming it's gonna be you. And now we can look for, yeah, let's go here again. We go to 3.2. Pop that on here. Oops. I didn't mean to edit, I meant to delete. But while I'm here, I can add that. Farrow, mother of Christine Farrow. Changed name to Christine Garland. Okay, and we want to look at this, Autumnalist? Large number of restaurants. Not because it's a chain, but just because it seems to be a common name for Italian restaurants. They need to use more local resource. I know what that means. But let me just double check. I knew it would be Butler County. I wanted to see if there was also one in Portland. Okay. Italian restaurant. It's been in the Times twice. The owner is Rochelle Zimmer. Oh, sure, why not? Yeah, miscellaneous here. Sold the land the building was on, and at the time of the article she was unsure if the restaurant would move to a new location or if she would retire. Many years before that, there's a puff piece from Valentine's Day 78 that asked recently married residents of Butler County how they met. Okay. 3.2 here. She met her husband Steve, who was a chef at Etonalis, met years ago when she delivered produce from her mother's farm. Steve used to work extra hours just to be there during her deliveries. Although they grew apart when the restaurant switched suppliers, they reconnected by chance and eloped at the end of last year. Reconnected by chance at a swingers party, hell yeah. Now she has a bun in the oven and they're both working as much as they can. She's a secretary, but went back to delivering produce on the weekends, trying to save up money to move to Boston and open their own restaurant. So this would be Steve. Oops. First name Steve. Well, we don't have Steve, but we have Steven. Let me look at the other... like, anything else here real quick that could be a name that could have Steve as a nickname from it. Let's see here. I don't believe so. Alright, yeah, that's the only one we have here. I'm gonna put this person as Susan. It makes sense to me. I don't know who that makes Blondie. I mean, could be somebody from over here, I'm not sure. Unless this is Blondie. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Okay, back over here. Okay. Joanna Robertson. Is that not what I have? What the hell? Okay, did she go on to do something else? I'm pretty sure she died, didn't she? Yeah. Da-da-da-da-da. Let's see here. I mean, do we have anything about 5P's mom? Other, like, when did it say... When was her death discussed? Yeah, she overdosed when he was 16. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. I mean, it did say that she did quit being a secretary. Was she... I feel like I remember 5P's... Okay, let's double check the this here. Movie rental store where she worked the register. She's a cashier. There we go. I was like, wasn't there an interview with him at one point? Obviously, it's in the part. It's in the part where she says that where it's interviewing him. Obviously. Okay. One day I'll learn your fucking last name, Sonia. Okay. So there's that. Okay, I need to choose a direction to search. I can go for this, I can go for this, and I can focus on any of these individual ones. I mean, I feel like I got this. Maybe we should try, maybe we go like this. Let's try it. So, I mean, Christine Farrow. I don't know if she's gonna have anything. Christine Farrow. Is that how you spell Pharaoh? I feel like I always fuck that up. Holy shit, I got it right. What the hell? Yeah, nothing relevant for that. I feel like we could wait for her until we get, some other names down. If we get a 4, I think it's 4 until things review. Yeah. Just because I'm not as confident on her, so maybe we can focus on... Because I'm more confident on you. If we can fucking find Sonia's last name... If anybody knows this woman's last name, that would be great. Not her married name. Her maiden name. Okay. We're gonna be looking at Brazil again. 3.4, Roottrees Brazil. Let's go. There we are. Avalagos, Edson Suarez, local politician, visited then. Okay. I mean, we already know about the Root Tree Everywhere thing. I don't think this is going to give us any information about Sonia. Was her name Sonia? I've already forgotten everything. It is Sonia, okay. Ba 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 ba. Ba ba ba. Edson Suarez, I'll look up him later. Enciendo de Bordo, or do Bordo rather. Maple Fire. Yeah, factory set on fire. It's a strike in 95. New Brazil Candy Corporation. I meant to spider search that. Well, fuck it, I'll do it in English. Nothing. Okay, then back to Portuguese. Okay, it just redirects back here. Ba ba ba. Okay, now we'll look up Edson Suarez, Brazilian politician, published by a college student as part of their PhD in history. Used to work at an automotive manufacturing plant for a major American car company. Yes, that was it. In what the paper speculates was a move to counteract this unpopularity, his wife Sonia was discreetly put in charge of a TV station called Talarede. I thought I remembered somewhere that she was involved with that company, but I couldn't find it, so that's where it is. Used it for propaganda. Okay. And then we can go back to... We can check Flavio. Nothing there. Other than her first name being Sonia. Ba-ba-ba. I mean, have we looked up Ashley York? I don't think she's anything, really. Yeah. Da-da-da. And then the TV station. Lack of resources online. I mean, does that mean that there might be some stuff in the periodicals? No. Maybe stuff in the public library, but I haven't seen anything about any specific books, and I need very specific parameters in order to search in the library there. The fuck is your last name, Sonia? You're driving me insane, Sonia. You're tearing me apart, Sonia. Oh boy. Let's see here. Where was the... There's the Piketty interview. Do you mention anything about Sonia in here? It's Australia. Da-da-da. Yeah, nothing there. Alright, do we give up on Sonia for now? I suppose this woman is forever haunting me. Alright, Susan Ford. Let me double check you again. Okay, let me look up the name of your school again. Here, then. It was... Yeah, Grandorf, that was it. Yes, and I believe that... Yeah, she learned to communicate with the deaf because she's not deaf herself. So I do assume that that means that, her husband, that was also here, you know? There, yeah, they would be number 5. Oh, I never put that stuff in here. Ba-ba-ba. Put this in here. There was one arrest, as there we are. Yeah, we'll go ahead and just put all that in here. Go back over here. Bloop bloop. Back to miscellaneous. Ba-ba-ba. Copy that, put that into here. Back to miscellaneous. I know what I'm doing. It takes me just enough time to do it. There we are, delete the note, and then we have this bit here for the Hudson Wing. Highlight that. Yes, her husband would be deaf. Alright, but who are her children? Who are your children? Okay, if we take Grandorf Dove here... I forget, have we looked this up here? Yes, we have. Yeah. I mean, what about putting in Susan's name here? Susan Ford? No? Alright. Da-da-da. What do we have here? What is a good moment? Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, yes. I'm just wondering, is there any way we can find your children, girl? Okay. Okay, let's go back to trying to maybe find any of these here. What's this British show? I mean, maybe it is Mid-Eastern University. I didn't mean to highlight that. I wanted to look that up. Oh boy. Okay, Mid-Eastern University is a notable private college that advertises itself as midway between Maine and Miami. Their mascot is the Spectres, and though they are not known for their sports programs, as not as much as for their education. Their legal and language departments are their pride and joy, though they have also have fairly extensive computer science and robotics programs. Along with other prestigious schools that haven't quite reached the notoriety of Ivy League schools, some refer to it as a Little Ivy. The college has embraced this, calling their newspaper the Heralded, which is a combination of Hedera, the scientific name for ivy, and Herald. Their website boasts that they have a historical technology museum on campus, including a still-functioning computer from the 60s that takes up a full room. They also have a printing press that they use to print one special year-end issue of the of their newspaper each year. There we go! Now we have that in our periodicals. Okay, let's look up that fucking Talon Claw, was it? School robotics team, 3 members, and talking about their story, including robotics. The only one that catches your attention is Lucy Lang. She grew up in China as Min Lang. Okay, Min. Would be college. Student college. But came to US specifically to attend university. Let me go over here for a second. 3.3. Pop that in here. 3.3, back to periodicals. She says she grew up around factory-scale machines that assembled products that would be shipped over the world, and that the moving parts and automation had fascinated her. However, as she progressed through her major, she has become, quote, obsessed, unquote, with smaller, more powerful hydraulics, such as the mechanism that closes Talon Claw's weapon. In addition to robotics, she loves linguistics. One of her hobbies since coming to the States has been collecting accents. In her spare time, she practices not only removing any trace of her native inflection, but also quickly switching between multiple different regional accents. She feels her personal best as the Southern Belle, but her favorite is the Valley Girl due to its use in popular culture. The article has a picture, now in your evidence. Fuck yeah. We got her. Okay, it's not you then. Is it you? It was between the two of them. I don't know who that woman is. There we go. And we got Steven. And we got that kid. Yes, that was you. I was like, who the fuck was Steven? That was Steven. How many more images do we got? Nah. Just Susan and whoever that person is. Probably somebody over here then. Assuming all of these images are going to be used. I know that they said not every name will be used. I don't remember if they said that about the images. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. But hell yeah, we have all that sorted out now. As well as all of that. That's beautiful, that's wonderful, that's delightful. We have 3.3 and 3.1. All squared away. Okay, are there any other bits in my miscellaneous that should be moved to, Yeah, I think we can fully get rid of Kristen Valdez there. Have I looked at this? I forget if I did. Marcia Barban? Cuba by Cubans? Okay, yes, it's not related to anything, thank you. We can move this to 3.3, even though we've already finished it. It's always good to have things in case I forget. Okay, over here back to the Hans. Business is said to be owned, yes, yes. Plop that in there. Back over to miscellaneous. Back over here. Oop. Okay. We have this name from being the owner of that. Rochelle and her husband, Mark Zimmer, have a few mentions in the Butler County Times, both small business owners. Rochelle owned Antonellis, I'm just gonna say it like that, and Mark owned a local bookstore called Bookmarks. Both closed in 1992. Mark was also mentioned in the Butler County when he was sued by Steve Garland. That was you! Move that over to 3.2 here. Okay, we're taking that out of the miscellaneous here. We're moving these both into 3.2. I mean, let me just double check here, Mark Zimmer, if this just pops the same stuff. It helps if you spell the name correctly. Okay, Bookmarks. Advertisements, yada yada. Lauren Roottrees did do a book signing in 1970. That's fun. Sued by Steve Garland. I didn't mean to spider search, I wanted to periodical search. Steve Garland is mentioned in a couple of articles. The first is the article about how he talked about how he met his wife Christine when he worked at Antonellis. The second is coming from months later, in September of 1978. A listing for his weekend cooking classes, Gourmet for the Groovy. The blurb mentions that he's been giving lessons from his home kitchen for the last month so that he can keep an eye on his son. Son boy. At least one is a son. The third is from 1991 and is titled Local Author Sued by Former Butler County Resident. It seems that a local author by the name of Mark Zimmer was sued by Garland after Garland saw Zimmer promoting his book Kitchen Tales on television. Well, that's more of a to-search thing, isn't it? Mark Zimmer Kitchen Tales. His recipe book was partially plagiarized from the recipes that Steve Garland would give his students during these cooking lessons before he moved. The article mentions that although I put that in the wrong one. Oh, it went to, did it go to the correct one? Let's see here. Where is it? Where did that highlight go? There it is. Meant to put that in this one. Okay, article mentions that although recipes are hard to copyright, Garland accompanied each recipe with a short fiction about how he learned it. These usually doubled as a way to remember certain ingredients. Garland's bean salad, for example, involved making a trade with a gnome for some magic beans. Apparently these stories were found word for word in Zimmer's cookbook in addition to additional stories that followed the same format. Damn. So let's look this guy up. Mark Zimmer. Kitchen Tales. Out of print, no copies are available. Re-released as Garnishing the Truth. Entire description of this book, according to the library system, is a recipe book that contains stories. Alright. No? Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Yeah, could the author be different is a good question. I mean, should I look up... what was his name? Garland? Stephen Garland? Damn. Aha! The introduction to this book series is a series of acknowledgements from Steve. The first is, Christine, thank you for everything. Your support means everything to me. You're the apple of my eye. And the second is, to James and Robert. You're becoming amazing men, incredible chefs. I guess I'm a good teacher. And the final is to Mark Zimmer. You proved my storytelling approach to recipes could be popular. Without you, this book couldn't exist. Oh, that's so fucked. I love it. I'm gonna assume that they're in order. I feel like you would do that, right? James Garland, and then Robert Garland. Now, we don't have images of either of these kids. Maybe we can look up Steve Garland up. No, he's not, he's nothing. And he's nothing else. Garnishing the Truth, though? Cookbook credited to Garland and Zimmer, released in '94. Actually quite successful after the duo appeared to promote it on a daytime talk show. Multiple printings since. According to a book review, the recipes are accompanied by stories that help the reader remember the ingredients. Reviewer says it seems perfect for learning to cook with the entire family. I mean, what about in the periodicals? Anything here? No. I don't know how we would get images of these kids yet. I mean, I could just look up their names. Let's try it. James and Robert. Nope. We get Susan's kids. How do we get Mark's kids? Da-da-da. I mean, we could also focus a bit on here with Bess and Elias. Bess Williams. Because I wasn't not paying attention to Bess that much. Do I have any of this stuff still in here? The Bess stuff? I don't believe I do. So we can put that over here. Whoop. Okay, back to the Bocadoro Library. Now it's the Miami Print Museum. I mean, I actually can highlight that. I didn't do that intentionally the first time. Okay. Well, we learned about the Miami Sunday. What was the... Well, I mean, is that in our periodicals? The Miami Mercury. That's what that was. I mean, do we have anything about Bess in here? Had an article about Bess Williams section in the Bocadoro Library. Mentions Bess's young son, now an orphan, was in attendance during the dedication. Had a later mention from 49, last year the paper existed, about a bidding war for a planned expansion of the library. The bidding was won by Wildcat Construction and included a new statue, a fountain, and a second room that would double its shelf count. Add Wildcat Construction to our to search. We can get rid of these. I don't think we are gonna have anything about the Foster Fountain. Let's check. Oh, shit, no. Wait, that's a lot. Or it's more than I expected, at least. Fountain of Youths, also known as Foster Fountain, is a fountain found in a small park in Portland. All proceeds from change thrown into the fountain are donated to the foster care system. A website for Portland's Parks and Recreation mentions under a trivia section that the Fountain of Youths was originally conceived by Ruby Spratt, an alumni of the foster care system. Shouldn't that be an alumnus? Isn't alumnus singular and alumni plural? I could be wrong. I don't know shit about Latin. As more businesses signed on as sponsors, it grew in... As more businesses signed on as sponsors, it grew in scope, even beyond Spratt's original hopes. The fountain is unique because it has special targets that visitors can aim their coins towards. If a coin lands on one of these targets, each of the sponsor businesses matches it. This isn't a huge amount of money from each business, but it's more than 100 businesses. But more than 100 businesses have agreed to participate, so each penny becomes $1. Neat. I mean, what if I look up Portland's Parks and Recreation? What? You're telling me no? You're telling me that's nothing? I mean, I figured this will just... yeah. Alright, we've looked up Foster Fountain. Let's look up Work Time Temp. Company with many offices all over the US. Roottrees listed on their site as one of the companies they do business with, though it's far from the only one you recognize. No connection. Okay. Wildcat Construction, though, is listed in some historical records as having worked in many buildings in the Miami area. Ceased operations in the 60s. Alright. But, I mean, if they're in Miami, baby... Let me just double check. Yeah, it's only Miami. Well, we got a whole little article here. But that's something that we're gonna handle. We're gonna read after the ad break. Chat. Hourly self-care check-in time. Do you need to go to the bathroom, or do you need to grab a snack or get something to drink? Now is going to be a great time to do so, because the game is going to be paused during the ad break. You won't miss out on anything. This is also your hourly reminder to fix your posture, take your meds, unclench your jaw, save your files, feed your pets, charge your devices, and do some stretches, alright? Please take care of yourself, chat. Do it. I command you to. I command you with my power. Beep beep beep. I'm wiggling. Oh boy, I like how the ad started and I immediately had a thought that I am not allowed to act on. I can't make any progress during the ad breaks. How about that time change? I just remembered that that happened. I forgot. I didn't realize it was happening until, like, the day before. And by the day before, I mean the night before. When Artificer was just, like, going to bed and was like, oh, don't forget that this is happening tomorrow. And me and everybody else in the room at the time was like, oh, shit. I had no clue. No shit indeed. It's truly just like a, oh. Well. Mayhaps head to bed slightly earlier than I thought I would. I just realized I've been having one of my devices charged this whole time. It's probably good by now. Unplug that, and I'll plug in my phone just to make sure it's all good. Like, the time change explains why I'm yawning a bit more. Though, like, I don't feel tired, I'm just objectively yawning. It's not really, I don't know if objectively is the right word there. But you know. I am objectively yawning. That is technically true. As in, it's an objective fact. I still have the Sam and Ralph tab open. I don't need that. You know what? No, I'll keep it. Do. Okay, another stretch. That's the noise of me stretchings. Blah, 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 blah. Whenever I stretch, I turn and I see all of the laundry that I did but haven't put away yet, and I'm like, I'll do that later. I have other stuff to work on. It's not I'm born right now. I'm live. I can't be doing that. Welcome back from the ass chat. Hi. Okay, I had a thought. I just wanted to double check here. Susan, does she look... Can these women be the same women? I can't tell. I can't tell if their skin tone is different or if it's a lighting thing, you know? Like, that just seems incredibly different. So that person's probably from over here. I wanted to compare those. Okay, let's go back to looking over here at all of this stuff. There's two things in this one here. And it's on this page specifically as well. And it's like Susan Ford has been moved to office staff, obviously. I'm gonna abandon that one for now. I'm not sure where to go from it. Back to 6 pieces here. Let's see here. Guy's wife, Patricia. Elizabeth, obviously. And we have that bit here. Does that mean that there's more, though? It might be the Brazil thing. It's like, I just don't know her last name. I would love to know her last name. It would be great for me if I knew that. If we look back at the notable events here... At the time, yeah, Carl had not yet been replaced. The Rift... Press releases, we read about those. Clark welcomes Sam officially. Outside legal group. Then Roottrees Mania, Anonymom, and Jane Doe. Back over to Piketty. I mean, have I looked up Change Demand by Cicely Sanchez? Was that not? Yeah, that's how you spell her name. Is Changed Man like a shortening of it? Portrait of a Changed Man. I mean, I probably looked it up then. Yeah, the drowning thing. And then Foreign Gospel. Yeah. I mean, this is also probably this was probably a good clue for how to identify which photos were older. You know? So yeah, because he started off wearing orange. But he switched to green. Okay then, yeah. So that means, yeah. It will be later on. obviously, for that image. Well, obviously, because that guy was born around the same time as this guy. These guys are around the same age, I think. If that's who I was going off of, I don't remember. I think it was. I might have to ask my duck. I feel like I've hit a bit of a dead end. And the duck does point me in a pretty good direction. Okay, give me a hint here. Root of all evil mentioned a song. Let's look into it. Root of all evil. Okay. Was that... Who was that? Was that Five Piece? Okay. Did I not look into this? All your problems. What the fuck? Why didn't I look that up? What the hell? I'm genuinely surprised that I didn't look that up. This track is the only new song on the album. The subject matter of the song is the hypocrisy of those that claim money is evil. He points out that the only people who think money is evil are those that have it, those then that can't afford not to be greedy. In the song, Five Piece triumphantly talks about taking the Roottrees' wealth due to it being his birthright and giving it to those who need it the most. You find a copy of the song on a suspicious-looking website and download it for your records. I mean, let me also look up all your problems on the periodicals here. Probably the music one. Okay, it's on none of them. Okay, what do we got here?
Attention, attention, Roottrees.
Oh my god, it is Eminem.
Five Piece coming at you from the real world. You know, the place you ain't ever lived in.
You say money,
Who's that?
root of all your problems.
There's nothing here that's saying, like, don't look into the lyrics. Is there nothing?
Estates built from the cash that your ancestors gave you, acting like you somehow deserve it based on your family's creations. Yo, but look at here, sonny, don't you work for our money, or you might burn bright in hellfire someday, like that Madsen chick and her two dads. My pappy's cleansing trust should keep you away. Yo, it's disturbing catching a sermon from a geezer who's never known hurt, but blurts out these claims that somehow we're sinners because we didn't earn it. When all of your worth it came free with your name, you expect me to treat your lectures on greed as some expert.
Sorry, it's really funny how similar this is to fucking that Eminem song.
Me a kiss, you'll know just where to aim.
He's so Eminem, it's so funny to me.
There's a root of all your problems. Let
This
me
is fucking real Slim Shady over here.
Whoever calls dollars the root of all evil, just trying to make small pursuits of real people. You silver spoon feeds you the world's purest treacle, while real world folks burn their spoons with a needle. So once more with passion, tell this poor tragic orphan how your mansions and Porsches are actually horrible.
How I'm better off penniless, grasping for morsels. How one in my share,
That's actually extortion. With your candy ass name, synonymous with sweets. Oh, you wanna call me classless? I'm gangster from.
Oh shit, he's from Portland.
Play that game. I came up on the streets. The only streets you reppin' are Park Place and Boardwalk.
Fucking Monopoly.
Is toppling. When I knock, have G's.
top off my pockets, please.
Cause the same God that got to steal my mom from me is what he wants, right? For you to live in poverty. And if you're suddenly not eager to unhand that fortune, that's unfortunate. I guess I'm gonna have to take my portion, and I'll do it all legally. Class action, courtroom, decorum. I way past your fancy ass dormant.
You say money is a root of
Okay.
all your problems. Let me
Everything else is repeating stuff, so he's from Portland.
You say money is the root of all your problems.
Nothing new here. They reviewed his new album. That's in.
You say
It's alright, apparently.
is the root of all your problems. Let me take those problems away.
Okay.
Whoever caused dollars, the root of all evil, just trying to make small pursuits of real people. You silver spoon feeds you the world's purest treacle.
Yeah, nothing.
Burning spoons for the needle.
I mean, we could try with Dirty Davy.
Evil, just trying to make small pursuits of real people. You silver spoon feeds you the world's
Oh! You find an article about the dedication ceremony for the local Portland network called the Fountain of Youths. Apparently, at the unveiling of the fountain, the mayor of Portland made a speech, and there were performances by multiple local entertainers, as well as a ribbon cutting from people most instrumental in bringing the fountain to fruition. The article calls out that all of the performers and speakers, with the exception of the mayor, were foster care alumni, and most of them grew up together as close friends. This includes poets, musicians, and dancers. Dirty Davy was listed as one of the musicians. Huh. Okay, that didn't give me much. Did that give me anything? He's from Portland. I mean, let's see here. All Your Problems doesn't have a magnifying glass, though. We got nothing here, do we? Yeah. I mean, I really feel... Where is... I feel like this is probably gonna be her, isn't it? Because you said it's Guy Hudson. You're blonde. Those are the two qualifiers. All Your Problems. I didn't mean to click on you. Trying to see if... I realized I hadn't clicked on this one. I didn't feel like it was anything, but that's neat. Okay. All Your Problems. Let's look at this again. I don't think it's anything. Other than sounding so much like Eminem. And reminding us that he's from Portland. I mean, we've looked up this. I didn't mean to... I meant to periodical search that. Yeah. The dedication ceremony. I mean, does that, like, give us a, an age for, whatever her name was? Ruby. I knew it began with an R. Not quite sure, though. Okay. Mark Clementine. Crocodile Clementine. How could we get an image of your children? I would love an image of your children, somehow. Things that I need to do. I need to get images of his kids. Maybe figure out their jobs. I need to figure out what happened here with Bess and Elias. Need to figure out Susan's kids. Need to figure out Christine's kids. Let's go maybe back to Bess. Because we learned about her son somewhere. He had an orphan. And Wildcat here. Oh yeah, I had pulled this up to read after the ads and then I got fucking distracted. My bad, chat. Wildcat Construction was mentioned once in an article you've already seen about the expansion of the Pocadora Library. It was mentioned earlier, in 1947, under the headline, Constructing a Better World. Frank Wildcat Williams left Florida in 1941 after a construction worker and returned a hero. He won the Navy Cross for his bravery and sacrifice, having carried a fellow soldier to safety under a heavy Nazi fire. Now he and his wife Ophelia are carrying his fellow soldiers through tough times at once. Wildcat Construction is Frank's company, focused on creating opportunities for soldiers finding difficulty getting back to normal. Ophelia has handled outreach to the wives of local veterans, who are often able to provide insight into their husbands' needs and conditions. She has, through such outreach, found 13 veterans of the war to serve as Frank's employees. The community support has been unendingly and overwhelmingly positive. It has gotten to the point where if Frank bids on a project, other local companies have decided to step back and let his soldiers handle it. This has become a bit of a sore spot for local politicians and business owners, as the bids are often not as low as they expected. The problem for them is that essentially, Frank has a selective monopoly, but any attempt to circumvent it has caused an uproar and accusations of being un-American. It's uncertain what will become of Wildcat Construction, but at least for now, we're rooting for them. Okay, Frank Williams. Okay. Too common of a name? Frank Wildcat Williams? There we go. Frank Wildcat Williams is listed on a few different military history websites. Navy Cross goes that even after being struck in the arm with a bullet, he managed to carry a fellow soldier through enemy territory on his shoulders for over 2 miles. He died in '96, age 74, in a retirement community in Sweetwater, Florida. An obituary on the website of a local news channel that was written by his surviving family also sheds light on some of his personal life. He grew up an orphan because his family died in a hurricane when he was very young. He could barely remember his mother and had no memory of his father. After the war, he ran a construction company that mainly hired World War II veterans and did a lot of jobs in and around the greater Miami area. He was a born joker and a shining light to those veterans who needed it most. An anecdote mentions that he used to insist he married his wife Ophelia as a matter of courtesy and convenience. She wouldn't have to change her last name. A photo is attached of Frank in his youth, juggling hammers in front of one of his construction sites, as he was often known to do. As according to the article, he is survived by Ophelia as well as his daughters Barb and Sharon Williams. Okay. So this is probably... This would be Frank then? What were they, they said Williams? Yeah, Bess Williams, obviously. Ba-ba-ba. He's a veteran. What was his... Was it a construction company? Is that what they were? Construction, yeah, so... What would that be? Construction, thank you. And then his wife would be Ophelia. Now we don't have her last name, but his daughters are Barb and Sharon. Wait, if I'm understanding this right, what's happening in this family tree? Because I thought for a second that both of the daughters married the same person for a second. John Doe over here. That's locked in. But no, it seems like Barbara had a kid. Assuming that this is Barbara. Had a kid who was then adopted by Frank. Or at least Ophelia. Barbara Williams here. Barbara and Sharon. Okay. Let's see this image here. God, that's... good for him. Good for him. Okay. I guess we can look up his kids. Let me also look up, let's see here. Specifically in the periodicals. His wife Ophelia. They're not mentioning Ophelia's last name. Okay, let's look up Barbara Williams. And we'll also check Barb. There we go. Motivational Speaker has a website that explains the services she offers. Company's address is listed as Coconut Grove, Florida. I will check all of that in a second. Yeah, the 5 is real. What is motivational speaker going to be listed as? Public speaker, that's it. Okay. Before I do any of the many things on here, let's look up for Sharon. Okay. I also want to check the over here. And Sharon. Just want to double check. Okay. Her story will surprise you, uplift you, then energize you. Greta Jones, WQTV 12 Morning News. A lesson that anyone can take something away from. Vic Elmsworth, Kikiwa Falls Gazette. An intimate evening with a truly wonderful message. Isabel Crosby, Superintendent Benton County. Alright. Let's start off. Can I just look up Greta Jones? Too common of a name. Fair enough. I was planning on looking this up afterwards anyway. 1 second. Go to my to search section. I already did that. You know what? Let's just... bop. Greta Jones is, according to a flyer in your possession, the morning news anchor for a channel called WQTV 12. Unfortunately, it has no online web presence whatsoever. You do find it listed under a giant list of television call signs next to the city of Springfield under the heading of Effingham County. Okay. I'll do that specific stuff. Effingham County. 2 different counties in the US. One is Georgia, one is Illinois. I meant to say GA. Okay, fine, I'll type out Georgia. There is a Springfield. Springfield is the capital of Illinois, but after perusing some of the results you find it is not located in Effingham County. Okay, so Springfield, Georgia. I misspelled Georgia. When you refine your search to television in and around Springfield, you come across a website that lists different channels available there. The list seems to only feature broadcasts with female news anchors. The person who runs the website has ranked these using 3 categories. None are relevant to journalism. One of these entries is Channel 12. The news anchor is listed as Greta Flores. Okay. I mean, what if I just look up Channel 12? Yeah, I didn't figure. Greta Flores is a news anchor who apparently used to go by Greta Jones before her divorce. Alright. Pasta water, that I can do. Ba. 1 second, let me go back over here. I believe I'm still going off of, this first one. Ba. Back to Greta Flores. Compared to the ordeal you've gone through to simply figure out her current name, it's way easier than you expect to find that she has a website of all her accomplishments. She was apparently the MC for an all-female speaking tour in 1977. Yeah, just was double-checking that I am where I thought I was. The tour was called Storytellers of Sisterhood, the Mothers and Daughters of Earth. I mean, yeah. You do your search for it. Seems the stories were compiled into a book simply titled 25 Stories of Sisterhood by Ayla Hale. I will highlight that over here. You know what? Yeah, let's continue down this road. Author name Ayla Hale. Story 25 Stories of Sisterhood. Anthology of stories told on a few different Storytellers of Sisterhood tours. Direct transcripts, as well as most of the well-received stories told on stage. Editor, not the sole author. One of the stories by Barb Williams has been added to our evidence. Excellent. Let's continue on with this other things on the list here. Vic Elmsworth. Vic Elmsworth, according to his own personal page, is apparently one of 3 brothers. All 3 of them are contributors to a newspaper called the Kikwa Falls Gazette, and he tends to focus more on the southeastern United States. All of the articles he's written are archived on his site, including the long-form version of a review for Barb Williams' motivational show from 1997. According to Victor, he had seen Barb talk more than once. On this particular occasion, Barb's talk was at a very large church, and it was clear she was an expert at matching the presentation of her concepts for any particular crowd, because she received a standing ovation. Barb started with a story about loss, specifically the loss of a bicyclist who had been hit by a car. She spoke about the death of any person as a darkness in their loved ones. She spoke about the death of... I already read that. A cold, empty void that begins to creep into a space where there once was light. Because the light could never return exactly how it once was, she says the only option is to nurture new sources of light to help fight back the darkness. Her conclusion was that finding the hidden meanings in tragedy is the most important thing we can do. She used multiple biblical comparisons, and finished by looping back around to her initial story about how she personally began to come to this ideology. The biker who died was her son-in-law, and the Lanes Across America charity was created to fill the newfound darkness her daughter experienced. It, the charity, was the light that began to fill the void, and she was doing everything she could to help nurture it. Lanes Across America. Her son-in-law. Is that what she said? Okay, yes, because this is your daughter, but was adopted. Or was, like, guardian here. They are, like, cohabiting. They're helping out. In some way. Sorry, I forgot that this is your daughter. And I was like, when did you... Where did... Yes, there's a line there. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Let's go with the Kikiwa Falls Gazette here. There is no Kikiwa Falls anywhere in the world that you can find. The closest thing to a Kikiwa appears to be in New Zealand. Instead, a man named Chris Elmsworth has invented a small-town newspaper as a conceptual art piece. The Kikiwa Falls Gazette is a series of online articles about small restaurants, shows, and other tourist attractions all across the US. This is presented as a monthly newspaper of small-town America. What makes the Kikiwa Falls Gazette a bit strange is that amongst the articles detailing real locations are occasional stories that present outlandish, inflammatory concepts in extremely mundane ways. For example, on the homepage right now is an article entitled Mermaids Strike Back Against Lobster Farms, that using very dry language details the idea that the mermaids in Maine have begun to unionize in support of better benefits. There are no punchlines, and the articles are not marked any differently from the rest. Damn. Unfortunately, each current issue of the paper is presented on the homepage, no archives of older issues. Damn. That's really funny. I guess we'll put that in miscellaneous. I didn't mean to, search that, I meant to highlight that. Alright. Then continuing on from there then. Lanes Across America. Lanes Across America, or LAA, is a charity focused on adding bike lanes to major cities. The pages and pages of news articles that mention Lanes Across America have a similar summary in them. LAA, formerly LAM, was founded in 1987 after the death of Drew Smith. Drew was biking home from work when he was hit by a car. Each year since, Lanes Across America has grown, and they now have offices in over 12 major metropolitan areas, including Miami, where the charity began. They have a photo of Drew there. So, Drew Smith. And we have a photo of him now. You mean LAM? What did M stand for? Apparently the word lamb means to hit someone. Too common of a word to provide us with any specifics. Alright. Drew Smith. Lanes Across Miami, probably. There we go. Searching for Lanes Across Miami does narrow down the pages, and the pages of articles you find earlier to only those with a more in-depth history about the charity. You find some additional information. LAM formed in 87, became LAA in 94. Founded by Sharon Smith after the death of her husband. Sharon and some other board members stepped down in 92 and the current leadership took over. One of the oldest articles is a full, uncropped version of the same wedding photo from the LAA website. It seems that after Sharon left LAM, they began to crop her and the rest of the wedding party out of the photo to focus solely on Drew, who's the face of the charity. Damn, dude! Rude? That was her fucking husband who died. Okay, I was gonna save the new evidence until after we looked up all of that. Yeah, it's the same image here. The rest of the wedding party is cropped out. Well, at least it's not just her, I suppose. I'm assuming that that's gonna be also Barbara there. So this would be Sharon. That would be Andrew. Who's this other guy then? Damn, I was hoping that this was polyamory. I guess it's probably just fucking remarrying after your husband died or whatever. You can say it's this guy? Let's say it's that guy, whoever that is. Maybe Drew had a brother, I don't know. There's another one? What's the other one? The Beauty and the Brat. 25 stories of sisterhood here. Okay. As a transcript of a story she told on stage published in a book. The first part of her story focuses on two 16-year-old girls. My sister Sherry was a brat. Always sulking, often disobedient, never on time. She borrowed things without asking, and even ran away from home only to sneak back the next day like nothing had changed. My daughter, Sharon, on the other hand, was a beautiful person. She had excellent marks in school, was intensely artistic and creative, and even volunteered at an animal rescue. She continues to tell the stories of the two girls until she shifts the narrative. What was the difference between Sherry the brat and Sharon the beauty? Is it nature, nurture, a better education, different opportunities? The answer is nothing. There was no difference, because my sister and my daughter are the same girl. Barb reveals that her daughter was the result of an unexpected pregnancy when she was only 15. I met a boy at a county fair. Unlike us, he lived in the nice part of town. He went to the good school. To a teenage girl, it felt like a fairy tale. But there were boxes all over his house. He was moving in 3 days. Those 3 days were heaven to me. The final night, he surprised me. He told me he could actually see me again soon. He planned to return to visit his grandparents. I thought I was giving him a reason to keep his promise. I never saw him again, and when I finally got desperate enough to ask around, a friend of a friend told me he hadn't even given me his real last name. Barb also talks about when she found out she was pregnant. I was convinced my life was over, but my parents, they took charge. I had to live at home and work a part-time job, but they removed the burden of motherhood. I managed to scrape out a degree in English, and as far as my daughter was concerned, I was her much older sister. Barb uses the story to come to a conclusion. When I was younger, I thought my sister was the brat, and I wasn't wrong. But she ran away from home to work at that animal shelter. She borrowed my clothes for presentations at school, and her creativity allowed her to open up Sherry's hair. It took me far too long to realize the beauty that was always there too. In fact, the brat and the beauty exist in all of us. It was my inner brat that kept me blind to the truth. And I'd like to say it's the beauty in me that's finally able to see what I was missing. I implore you all to call upon the beauties in yourself whenever the brat tries to take hold. Interesting. Well, I guess that explains that. Da-da-da-da-da. Sherry's hair. Da-da-da-da. You said she worked at an animal shelter? Is that... No, Sherry's hair. Well, that could be like a dog grooming place, I don't know. Before we do that, though, let's look up Isabel Crosby here. Nope. Benton County. And Isabel Crosby, according to a flyer on Barb Williams' website, is the superintendent of Benton County. There's a Benton County in 9 different states in the US. There hasn't been a Benton County in Florida since 1850, so you're not sure which one Isabel Crosby comes from. Searching for Isabel Crosby doesn't lead to anything that seems to fit what you're looking for. School district? Benton County Superintendent? Okay, we'll come back to that then. Let's look up Sherry's hair. There's a Sherry's hair in Orlando. The owner of the business is listed as Sherry Yastrzemski. Sherry has a large van, and on weekends can bring, quote, the style of Brittany, Christina, or even the Rachel to your door, unquote. The About Sherry section is very, very long, and presented as one paragraph with multiple run-on sentences and no pictures. You get the sense that if she were to do your hair, she'd be doing a lot of talking. It mentions that her husband Pete was her late husband's college roommate. She and he had never spent any significant time together until she became a widow and they built a charity together. They left the charity behind because it was growing beyond their ability to run it. She also brags about her kids, Tony, Mark, and Cricket. Her oldest, Tony, seems to get the short end of the stick. His 2 listed accomplishments are that he's the oldest and that he's a straight A student. Damn. Mark, on the other hand, has multiple baseball accomplishments listed. Apparently, his Little League team is nationally recognized. Cricket York is near the end and has an entire section dedicated to her. She's an actress on a local television show called Liberty Library, and the reason that Sherry relocated from Miami to Orlando. Liberty Library. That I is going to annoy me if I don't fix it. The passage also mentions that her agent recommended they change her last name to York because it was easier to pronounce. The rest of the section describes how she got the part, but that seems unimportant to your search. Well, if it was hard to pronounce, then it's probably the kid with this guy. What was Pete? Peter, probably. Last name... There we are. Cricket. Yastrzemski. And then her kids, her other ones, Tony. Anthony, then? There we go. What was the last name of your first? Okay, Smith. Anthony Smith. Actor. You would be a... Was it high school? Is that what you are? I mean, you could be... I took a screenshot by accident. Could be K-12, could be college. I'll put him in college for now. Could be younger. And then the other one is Mark. Mark Smith. Who is going to be a K-12 student. Because he's in Little League. You have an image of your kids? Okay. I don't think... I mean, we can check out her kids here. Tony... Smith. Yeah. Mark Smith. I mean, let's see here. Orlando Little League? No. Okay, Sherry's hair. So Cricket York, then. Library Library is a children's show filmed at a studio in Orlando, Florida. It's been on the air since 1991. In the show, multiple adults and children interact with different animal puppets in a small town called Liberty. Unlike some other popular shows involving non-human performers, this one isn't funded by the public. Instead, it's paid for by donations from businesses related to education. This includes textbook manufacturers such like Corrhythmic, tutoring companies such as EduC8-2U, Educate2U, and a few other well-known publishers of picture books. From what you can find, it's syndicated in a few markets across the southern US and New Hampshire for some reason. Like most other children's entertainment, many of those that grew up with it tend to have fond memories. That works in your favor because the show has been documented by a few fan sites. There's even a Liberty Library web ring, though it only has 3 entries. You click through the sites in the ring and find that Cricket York joined the cast in '97 at the age of 5 and is still listed as a current cast member. A picture of Cricket from one of her first episodes has been added to your evidence. Okay. Hell yeah. The theme of the episode tackled why some people needed glasses. Okay, we got an image of Cricket. She wears, I guess, hairdresser. Is that on here? Yeah, hairdresser. There we go. Hell yeah. Booyah. Who goes there? Which of the two of you is it? Both of you!
Hey there, it's us. So, I just have to say, the work you're doing here is fantastic.
So fantastic, in fact.
There goes Clark. Always the bad cop. Go ahead.
Well, our law firm, Ruby Legal Enterprises, is having trouble keeping up. They're actually begging us to stop submitting new Roottrees. They said it's getting difficult to verify your progress.
Well, consider that a good thing. I told Clark you'd get results.
She says that like I didn't believe her. Regardless, the bad news is it's gonna take 5 potential tree additions before anyone locks in from now on. Good luck.
And keep up the good work.
Thank you, you two. Oh boy. Well, on that note, I think that's a good place to leave off. Oh my goodness, we've been getting through there. I felt like I haven't done much, but we've actually done most of it. Yeah, I think it's just 10 left. Yeah, 20 out of 30 for real. Hell yeah. And last we left off, we're working on those guys. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I've had a lovely time. This game is fucking awesome. And I love it so much. And I look forward to getting all of them root trees, making sure they're all taken care of. I need to delete that screenshot I accidentally took, or else it'll stay in my stuff forever. Da-da-da. There we go. Alright then. Let's see if we can raid, shall we? Let's see here. Many a people are alive. That's sort of how that goes. Many people at any time. Anybody could be. Who knows? Anybody anywhere could be live. Isn't that scary? But also cool. Let's see here. That's my noise. Nope, that person's on a BRB screen. Wait. How about... I don't know this game. What? I mean, I don't know a lot of Kirby games, but I've never heard this subtitle before. Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland is wild. What do you mean nightmare? What's wrong? Oh no! Let's rate Shay then. Jelly-filled zombies. And I hope you all have a good time over there. Even if, I don't know if Kirby's having a good time. And once again, Nightmare in Dreamland. I don't know if... I don't know if Kirby's alright. But hopefully they're doing alright. Thank you guys again for watching. I've had a lovely time. Maybe we'll beat this tomorrow? I think so. I feel like 10 is reasonable, right? I feel like I can probably do it. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, you know? Ba-ba-ba. Let's see here. Actually, wait, 1 second. Sorry, 1 second, 1 second. I'm double checking. I'm double checking something. Sorry, 1 second. You're all staying here with me for a bit longer. The outro's getting awkward, you idiots. Yeah, Jelly-filled is ending. I've got to do a different one. Why did I say just Jelly-filled? We're gonna do somebody else. Let me see if the other person is off their BRB screen. Woo! Yes. Okay. We're gonna raid King Creeps. Was just doing a chill art stream. And that seems nice. I like art. I'm sorry about the false alarm there. That's how it goes sometimes. But come along, chat. We're gonna go here. For real. I will see you all tomorrow. Go raid. I'm hitting the button now. Go. Leave.